message to Captain Picard.
Go ahead.
We've just received word from the fleet. They've engaged the Borg.
Mr. Data, put Starfleet frequency 1486 on audio.
Aye, sir.
Stan is not a great Eminem song.
No, I did not say Stan is not a great Eminem
Okay,
song.
what did you say?
What happens when a masked producer and a headphone-wearing comic book artist get together to talk music shit, comic book shit, and political shit on the internet? Monty. Hannibal the Beat Animal. Hannibal and Monty Shit Show! Holy shit! My name gets to be in the title this time. Hannibal and Monty Shit Show.
Why is my name second? What kind of shit is this?
Hannibal and Monty Shit Show. Let's talk some shit.
Get your shit together. Get it all together and put it in a backpack. All your shit. So it's together. And if you gotta take it somewhere, you know? Take it to the shit store and sell it. Or put it in a shit museum. I don't care what you do. You just gotta get it together. Get your shit together.
And we are live.
Yes, we are. As soon as it transitions.
And there we go. And we are live again.
Take two.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like couples that get divorced and then get remarried to get divorced again.
They wouldn't know it's take two if you didn't say it. Cause,
okay.
I mean,
That was my fault.
Yeah.
this is like a fresh shit show, you know? But okay. Start your intro again. Go.
And we are live. Welcome to Hannibal and Monty Shit Show. I am Hannibal the Beat Animal.
And I am Monty, the stick man that fuck shit up.
See, why'd you tell them? They didn't even know what was going on.
They don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. That's what I'm telling you.
I know.
I might have fucked something else up. Maybe I dropped an egg on the floor. They don't know.
You egg dropping son of a bitch. All right. And this is episode 32.
Yes.
Maybe an episode about.
Here it comes.
Say my name.
Yes. Or.
I am the danger. I am the one who knocks.
Yes.
Yes. There we go. There we go. Good job.
And Hannibal hasn't seen Breaking Bad. Has no idea what the fuck any of that is.
So, I've seen some Breaking Bad. I haven't seen enough Breaking Bad.
All right. Well, we're back. And also, before we get into other shit, I'll let you know the picture that you see in the background. Normally I do all these graphics. I put a Hannibal mask and some headphones and shit, and send it out to you as a graphic. This graphic, however, is me and Hannibal on, or a representation of me and Hannibal on something I have personally drawn. That is also available as a that you are now seeing here. No, you're not. Because I don't know how Zoe I'll figure that out while our guests talk when we get to them. But while the guests are talking, you will see the print itself of Walter White as Heisenberg.
They're getting the echoes.
Are they? They're getting the echoes? Yeah. All right, we'll fix the echoes. Bear with us. We're going to roll this shit show. It's better than what it could be. So, we're going to keep it going like this. Ben Collinsworth is working diligently on fixing the problems on his end. It might be the phone. All right. There we go. So, anyway, there we go. That might have fixed it. But yeah, that'll fix once we introduce our guests. But that print, if you like it, it's available on MontyLiveArt.com. There is absolutely nothing in the description right now. Hopefully the Streamlabs link is in there. It's working. If not, I'll add it as the show goes on. We'll see. Streamlabs is open. All that'll work. B. Fullington, I saw that you sent to Streamlabs. Hopefully you're still in the chat. I'll read that once I get back to Streamlabs and figure out what's going on. other shit prevented us. But that being said, we have all of our guests in studio tonight, and I will start by reintroducing Ace Wonder. Welcome back to the shit show.
Good to be back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Why don't you tell the shitheads anything you want to tell them?
I don't usually have much to say, but I am Ace Wonder. I'm about to say 2/3. I am 1/3 of Earth's Mightiest production trio, Team MFN. Yeah, I'm 2/3. I do all the work. Yeah, right.
It's a lot to be 2/3.
No, out of a trio. 1/3. Shouts out to Hannibal, who's in the studio with us, and Johnny Brasco, who's out in the city of New Orleans somewhere getting it in. Oh, can I say one more thing before we move on? I just want to send a quick shout out.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Recovering. She had a procedure this morning. I just want to send her plenty of love and wish her a speedy recovery.
Yes. And let me know if the echo keeps going.
Yeah, how are we doing with the echoes?
It's still going.
It's still going. All right. It's not me.
All right.
Or it's not. At least it's not my camera.
All right. Hannibal will be listening right there. I'm trying to find it out.
Here we go. So,
but we also have Ben Collinsworth from the Creole Alliance. Introduce yourself, my friend.
hello, folks. Ben Collinsworth, Creole Alliance, among other projects. That's we'll just call it an advocacy group. But hey, we were in the paper recently, so that's good.
Dope.
You were in the paper. You found some white supremacy stickers somewhere,
found
right?
White supremacy stickers, and the Alliance found some white supremacy stickers that were posted in Metric.
Oh, that was you? I seen it. Yeah,
That's us. We found them. Let the proper media outlets know.
dope.
Not really. It was bad.
Oh.
So what we found is bad.
Oh, I'm sure what you found is bad. I think it's dope that
what we found. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, no, we can't. Well, what's up, guys?
I think what they're hearing is us coming back from their microphone. Yeah. So their function is just when they hear us coming in from.
All right. Can you lower that microphone a bit? Yeah, I hear us too.
There you go. Now I got. I lowered us there. Can we try to drop the gain? We dropped the gain a little. All right, that's the other way around.
They just not talk as loud.
Yeah, maybe that's what we do.
Yeah, I mean it might be a volume issue thing.
Yeah.
Just talking in the room.
It's been easy going episode of
Shit show. And I still hear me. There we go. How's that? That's better. We can talk right into the mic. I'll keep it calm.
I think you might have to be as loud as you usually are.
Yeah.
It's not what.
Well, shit. But you know
indoor
what?
voices.
We're gonna keep this shit going. We're gonna make some awesome shit show. But yeah. If you wanna if you wanna support this shit and make it so that shit like this doesn't happen, and we can do upgrades like this mask that you see on Hannibal the Beat Animal right next to me, which you guys did on Patreon and through all your donations, and that's patreon.com/501T show. That helps make this show better. We can upgrade shit like this little wall we have cannot contain the voices of Hannibal and Monty, so that's why we're echoing. So we'll just deal with it. And I'm trying to set this up because we ran so late. Zoe had to leave. So I was going to show you an image I posted on Twitter, but since that isn't ready, I mean, we might as well go since I did it. Let's talk about what's coming up next.
Okay. What's up next?
So coming up next, we have our torture episode, which I think this is our torture episode, to be honest. Our torture episode is next week, and it'll be me, Hannibal, and Frustrated Atheist. We are currently listening to all 15 ICP albums. So Hannibal and I were riding around today listening to, I think it was Lost. Is that what the album's called?
We were riding around listening to Trash. So you wanted to know what we were listening to.
Yeah. So if you were in the New Orleans area and saw two black dudes riding around, one in a mask, bumping some really shitty music, really loud, that was us. Congratulations. You saw Hannibal and Monty.
It's actually pretty good.
Huh?
Yeah. Riding around listening to Insane Clown Posse with a mask on.
Yeah.
I would say y'all are almost too on brand.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're down with the clowns right now. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I wish their music was better.
I have shit to say. I have so much shit to say. Not right now. That's not this episode. And after that episode, we're moving into April, which brings us to the next batch of torture episodes, which you guys are currently working on. And Thrift Store Dan, if you're in the chat, is he in the chat? I'm not looking at the chat. We might have lost Thrift Store Dan. But Thrift Store Dan has his wrench. He got it in a different stream. But G-Man finally beat Thrift Store Dan. G-Man apparently is unbeatable. We will see if he continues to be unbeatable when he goes up against Alabama in the next round.
Please don't let G-Man win the torture episode. I'm not trying to do a torture episode about Thrift Store Dan. I don't want to do that. You got to lean into it.
Yeah, it's too late because Thrift Store Dan, Give Thrift Store Dan a Wrench already lost, which is why Thrift Store Dan has his wrench. So, congratulations, Thrift Store Dan.
I also want to as we're trying to.
How do they work?
Oh wow! So who did that? Is that Penultima? Penultima, our favorite Norwegian.
Yes.
What do you call people from Norway? The Norwegians. Okay. Awesome. All right. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
I'm confidently saying that.
Yeah. That sounds right. And we love Penultima. He's one of our favorites.
Yes. I wanted to say we got to give plunger points to live action animation because while we trying to get our audio situation fixed, she was like, somebody suggested that we all talk, like just have one microphone in the room and we all talk on that. And she said, all you need is one mic. One mic. Yeah. Shout out to live action because when I met her, she did not listen to good rap music. So I appreciate that reference. You know what I'm saying? Really stepped your rap game up, sis.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Wait.
I also want to read out both of their because Beef Swellington and it's not a secret now since Hannibal left that shit out of the bag. Beef Swellington in the previous stream, that will still be up. It'll have a different name, not an episode name. Said, here's a tip for Zoe having to deal with this shit. And Penultima said, for the Get Your Shit Together Fund. Thank you both. So
we appreciate y'all so much. I thought that was a gnat on your screen. Your mouse is so small. Why is your mouse icon so small?
Don't fucking judge me.
I almost slapped the shit out your screen. I didn't know. I was like, all right, get it off. I'm sorry. It's not. It's your mouse.
Yeah. But what's happening with the torture episode for we're in May? Yeah, that's May. For the torture episode for May is all of your suggestions from the chat from Streambot is they were all gathered and we put them all in brackets so that they can have it out in a tournament. And
like the NCAA?
Yeah, pretty much. I guess. How does that
Nice.
work?
Yeah. Let's go with that.
Is that how it works?
It's good to have some people on the show that know what the fuck I'm talking about when I make a sports reference.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck you mean. I assume it's a sports thing that I stole to make this. But yeah, today, Thrift Store Dan, after campaigning hard with us doing an entire episode about Give Thrift Store Dan a Wrench, lost to us doing an entire episode about G-Man.
Yeah.
And it also proves that G-Man is still undefeated on the internet. It's usually self-proclaimed.
No, all that proves is that you can win the popular vote and still lose the election. So I understand your pain, all right? But you got your wrench. You know what I'm saying? That's what's important. You don't got to go walk out in the woods. You're good to go.
Yeah, you won. And then
hashtag political jokes.
So today's poll is I don't know what these mean, but the categories were they and orange, and right now orange is winning when I calculate all the things. So
And they is slacking.
yeah, we might have to do a full episode about orange.
They just seem too easy.
Yeah, and the other one was the Osmonds versus. Oh, I can't remember. I don't have it in front of me.
It was the Osmonds versus Fuller House.
Yes. And Fuller House is sort of pulling up. Fuller House is doing it right there. So
Man, I would suggest.
You know what? If we do a G-Man torture episode, somebody should tag G-Man in that episode and give him a wrench.
No.
Yeah. Let's make it all the way fucked up.
Oh.
Yeah. You want to do an episode with our moms on the episode? Let me go ahead and make this one fucked up for you too. You know my actually, I don't even know if I want to give him that power. Do you like? You don't want Thanos to get the off.
Look, since Hannibal doesn't know who G-Man is, those of you that do, just post as many shit emojis as you can to let him know why it's a bad idea to give G-Man a wrench. Like, and how much better of an idea it is to just make sure Drag's in the chat. A former Golden Turb winner, the Slayer of G-Men.
Of all the G-Men, huh?
Yeah, of all the G-Men. And
A lot of Half-Life.
yeah, Drag offered to, if G-Man won, to be on that show, but Hannibal pointed out to me that that's not fair if we had him on, because it's up to us to talk about G-Man for 2 hours. Drag already does that, so that's our thing. So, Drag, I'm sorry we can't have you on that episode. But with that, and I can't show you the picture of Hannibal. Say some more about G-Man. Tell them what you know about G-Man.
I don't know nothing. I don't know anything about G-Man. All I know is everybody I know that I've become friends with via YouTube, you guys always talk about and by proxy laugh at G-Man, you know, for his beliefs and thoughts. I don't know what he does or why he does it, but you guys find him very entertaining / frustrating, and I just don't know. I just haven't done that deep dive yet on G-Man. You know what I'm saying? I've seen like clips of him spazzing out because of Drag, you know, who is a friend of the show. But yeah, that's it. That's all I know about him.
All right. Well, there we go. So I'm gonna move us on. I'm sorry, this shit show.
Wait. Billy Gray said he's a black man in favor of slavery.
Oh yeah. You'll hear about that.
Kanye?
Fucking magnets. How do they work?
Oh, something just came in. What was that? Oh, Wellington Smith.
All right. I'll see what Wellington Smith has to say. All right. Or I'll check it after I transition into this. While Hannibal is explaining, our check this shit out contest.
Oh. Right, gotcha. So if you look at
get your shit together.
Yeah, so if you look at the lovely graphic on the screen,
and then once this happens, before you get into it, once I get into this, the shit showiness of the shit show will get moving again, because I just solved the major problem. So Hannibal, take it.
So, if you look at the lovely graphic that's on the screen right now, this was designed by my podcast brother in arms, my partner in crime, Monty. It is the design for what will be our very first T-shirt. It is Monty and I sitting on a pile of nerd references. So we've made this a contest to see how many items you guys can name that is in that photo. Now, you cannot post the answers live online. You have to direct message us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, Snapchat, the answers, and we will tell you what your score is. You get 2 points if you name the item, the specific name of the item. You get 1 point for telling us the universal world that it comes from. You also, there are a handful of real-world items.
Go on.
There are a handful of real-world items in the picture. nerd references that you will get points for if you get those right. And there's one real world item in that picture that is the most dangerous item, in the real world. You get 4 points for that. And there's there's only I think 2 people found that so far. And there is a bonus item that is a direct reference to Hannibal and Monty's shit show that is worth 10 points. So if you get that, then you can really.
One person has come close to that.
Yes. Matter of fact, the only person that's gotten close to that is live action anime, and she doesn't even know it. She's in the ballpark. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, E Green just texted me to tell us about the echo on the mic. Yeah, I know, and we are trying to work that out as best we can as we go. But look, the into the contest, if you win, you get like a custom print of this particular artwork, and you're gonna get a Get Your Shit Together drawstring shit bag that might have some other prizes in it. So you don't get penalized for entering. You can enter as many times as you want. You can get as many answers wrong as you want. We will give you clues, but if we give you clues, we will take points off of your score. So just think about that. Right now, we'll be posting the leaderboard sooner than later. And yeah, more y'all should enter. And every point you get for entering this contest, you will also become plunger points. So if you get 65 points on this game, they turn into 65 plunger points. So enter the contest. You know what I'm saying? It's a cool contest, and show us your love and support for Hannibal and Monty. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mostly Hannibal.
Yeah. I'm not campaigning yet. Like I got a strategy here. So Wellington Smith said 4 points for the professionalists. Thank you.
Yes.
So let me get back to my shit after reading off all that. I think with all that, just be sure to click that like button. Even though I know we got echo problems, I'm sorry. We're working on it. We're fixing it. But follow us on everything, Facebook.com/Hannibal and Monty, Instagram @Hannibal and Monty, Discord. The link will be in the description. It's not right now because this is a random stream. Snapchat, show _5H1T, Twitter 5H1T show. That's how you can enter to help us choose what the torture episode is going to be. And, if you want G-Man as bad as y'all keep saying you do, we'll talk about him. And I'll give Hannibal one better. Rather than us giving him a wrench, I will make sure to let Drag know to let him know that he is welcome to come on the show that's all about him. Where if that show wins, the What's Eating Hannibal will be about G-Man. Check this shit out will be about G-Man. Important shit will be about G-Man. It's a full 2 hours about G-Man. So I don't think he deserves a wrench, but he's welcome to come on the show, and we're talking shit about him. So I'll let Drag know to let him know that he's welcome to the show. Yeah. So that's how we'll work that.
Also, it is looking like the echo issue got taken care of. Did you do something?
I muted our mic, so it's not really taken care of. It's just made better.
All right. So, you just got to work that mute
I got
while
you.
we
So
talk.
it's so when you talk, you got to unmute.
And we'll do the same. There we go.
Okay.
We'll
all
solve
right.
it that way.
All right.
Remember,
there we go.
That's our button, Hannibal.
Gotcha.
All right.
All right.
Let's do a shit.
And
like
we are live.
Fuck. Yes. All right. Damn.
All right. Now,
That's what I
are
wanted.
we ready to talk about these goddamn movies?
Yeah, look. And I'm going to go with, let me make sure that I didn't have anything else queued up. And yes, I got one question for all three of y'all. And that is...
Okay. Unmute y'all mics.
This was a shit
That was not the right.
Y'all finished or y'all done? I ain't got no more talk.
That wasn't the right.
That means the show is over.
Oh, okay.
Well, wait. No, you gotta look. Mute your shit. Let's see what happens. What the fuck, Zoe? All right. Well, I don't have that sound queued up. Let's go. Yeah, we're gonna move into the first fucking movie. I was gonna ask y'all if y'all ready to talk some shit, but let's just talk some shit. So, we're gonna start with September 14th, 1977. Spider-Man. Let's just get right into the fucking topic.
Fucking magnets, how do they work?
All right. We got a stream lag.
Okay. Now, before we do this, what order are we gonna go in?
These are in chronological order right now.
No. I mean, ranking the movies. Like, what order are we gonna go? We got,
Fucking magnets. How do they work?
We got 4 people in the room. So who wants to go first with each review?
We should do sides of room.
Sides of room.
Sides of room for tech issues.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. It hurt so bad, but I did it anyway. Ben Collinsworth is kicking ass and taking names right now. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
All right.
Dragon in the West says, here's some money for my Wednesday night great. Can't wait to see you on DP with Derek Blackman. Are we on with Derek Blackman? Who is that?
I don't know.
That show is going to be so black that Say Something Cindy might call the cops on it. All right. Is that who we're on with tomorrow? We're on Drunken Peasants tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah, they might have Derek Blackman on it.
All right, whoever the fuck that is. I don't know.
As long as he's black.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have to be black.
G-Man's black. That cannot be a...
I used to work with a guy named Brandon Blackman, and he was not black.
All right.
And was a bastard.
All right. Well, I look forward to it. I always love being on DP. They're always good to us. And then Beef Swellington said, if you read my Streamlabs earlier, I'll listen to the stream later. Here's some cash. I read your Streamlabs. That was... yeah, check the beginning.
All right, so look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to let Ace Wonder and Ben Collinsworth give us their reviews of the movies first, and then Monty and I will do our reviews after.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. I will listen while figuring out what Zoe did to the board.
All right.
She does
so,
a great job.
Spider-Man 1977. Ace Wonder, what say you, sir?
Wait.
There you go.
Am I on?
Yeah, now you're on.
All right. Yeah, no, I'll start with the grade. I gave this one a D+. It's no use in beating around the bush. No pun intended. This the whole movie was kind of bush league. Like, like the special effects. I didn't really like a lot of the dialogue. Yeah, I think there was like junky hoods in the script somewhere.
Yeah.
One thing I will say that was good about the movie though, and it saved a lot for me, is I really like the music.
Really?
Yeah. As a sample producer, I was just eating that up.
Yeah, it is sample heavy.
Yeah,
it is sample heavy.
So I enjoyed the music. The music made it a lot more bearable, but it still was what it was. Mm-hmm. Now I did recognize that, like, if I was watching this as a kid, like in the mid '80s, I'd have bought this hook, line, and sinker just because I think I'd have been willing to take anything I could get superhero wise.
You got nothing else to compare it to at the time.
Right. But watching it back, man, it was rough. It was rough. I know we talked a little bit about it, so I don't want to get into too much of the details. I don't want to step on anybody else's points on it. But a couple of things I wrote down about it real quick is I didn't understand why Spider-Man and the lady became friends so fast. Like, he met her out on the street and then they were just riding in the car like 30 seconds later. Yeah. And then he ended up randomly asking that lady for like $46. And she gave it to him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Man, that was that.
Yeah,
it's like, could I have exactly $46, please? And she was like, sure, after all you've done for me. And I was trying to figure out, like, what did he do so far?
Yeah, I had a lot of the same problems.
Yeah, it almost felt like she already knew that he was Spider-Man, but we didn't know that through the script yet. Where'd the favor come from?
I could see that.
Yeah, I almost feel uncomfortable still talking about this movie. To be honest with you, it was a rough watch. The string work was real nasty. So like any of the actual Spider-Man stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh no, the green screen. Yeah, like the guy's basically y'all filmed him like crawling on a green floor somewhere.
Exactly.
And then just put it on top of the side of the footage for the building. So yeah,
I'll just stop it there. I didn't enjoy it. So, and I'll say I'll leave it at that. D+.
All right.
This was
What the fuck?
show.
Y'all finished or y'all done?
Sorry,
I ain't got no more talking.
there's some weird audio shit that keeps happening.
We're running out of memory again.
All right.
You know what? fuck all the bells and whistles. We'll just talk some shit. I'll fix that once we get through stuff. Yeah, I'm with Daryl on the D+. I actually gave Spider-Man 1977 a D+. I have a lot of the same critiques. I did enjoy it on a certain level. I did enjoy it, but as far as it being a good movie, it was not one.
True.
But I wouldn't say nobody should ever watch this movie. Watch this movie. Enjoy it for what it is. Good? No. Spider-Man 1977, it's funny, but it's not trying to be funny. So
yeah, and I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said, but I'm gonna save mine. Ben Collins, what say you, sir?
This movie almost failed. Almost failed for me. Give it a D-. Nice.
Ooh.
A D-.
Damn. All right.
I did not enjoy the music. I did not enjoy the shots. I did not enjoy the story. I did not enjoy the actors.
Oh, I thought you were gonna rhyme it like Dr. Seuss.
No.
I was waiting for it.
Oh no. No. This is just a long list of things I did not enjoy. But the bigger things is that what kept it from failing, because I believe that always there's one point in a movie can keep from failing. The bad guy in that movie is Scientology.
Right.
And the guy that they cast looks just like L. Ron Hubbard back in the day. Oh. It's around the same era. And I'm like, okay, I'll give the studio guys who would probably run into the Scientology folks and who are now inescapable in Hollywood.
Let's say, can we talk about the fact that they went to the meeting? Like, I guess we'll just call it the Scientology meeting. They were going to investigate because they thought maybe that's why the girl's dad was acting so funny. And then she went to the meeting and then wanted to join.
Right. I'm like,
how's that work?
And you know what? It wasn't even that compelling of a religion.
Right.
I'm like,
you guys are losers and you deserve to be losers.
He's just gonna like dog cuss everybody and then be like, join up. And I'm like, that works? Amen. I've never heard of that working.
I've always heard that women like it when you're mean to them. I don't know that to be true.
I've never seen that work,
but I've heard it.
But there was that. I wrote this in my note. A spec script TV show they made into a movie.
Right.
Which means that this movie I don't even think was actually generated to be a pilot. The script to me feels like it was generated to be like just an episode of the Spider-Man show. And so they just decided this is going to be the first one and we're going to drag it out. Yeah. And also they definitely spent no money. I can tell that they spent no money. There are no crane shots. There are no dolly shots. There is nothing that can't be done with a tripod or a guy holding the camera as a shot in that entire piece.
All right.
So that means they spent no money. None.
See, I didn't see it from the money end. I was yeah, there we go. We'll just put my phone here. My phone keeps getting in the way of the mic. Yeah, I didn't even see it from the money end. I was there we go. That's better. I was hearing the echo. No, for me it was just it reminded me of the old 70s Spider-Man TV series because it was the pilot for it. And it felt like that. I don't care how much money, and this is something that I have an issue with when talking to people about movies. When we start getting into how much they spent on it, I don't really care how much they spent on it. I care about what happens when I see the movie. And that's the thing, and Ben has something to say. Hang on, take it. Look, the awesome side is going to mute. So.
Oh, no, my point is that usually I reserve a monetary expenditure critique for when I actually see that you didn't have it, like that you actually didn't even like there and you needed it for your story. And in my opinion, in a Spider-Man movie, you've got to have some dynamic camera movement.
Yeah.
And you can't do that if all you have is a pair of sticks and guys that can hold a camera. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not even trying to be like that they didn't have like wire cam stuff. I'm trying to even compare to the era of like just a crane shot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you'll see the upgrade when we get to 78.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And
This isn't me saying that Spider-Man was a great movie, because it wasn't. This was not a great movie. I enjoyed it, but for me, it's still a D+. This movie was a D+ for me.
Yeah, I also gave this movie a D+. So first off, I did not watch this movie sober. So let's start there. I don't know if that's a factor, but that shit was I was definitely not sober. First off, I'm also with Ace Wonder. I thought the music was funky as hell. And the irony is I like the music, but it does not work well with the movie at all. But I still liked it. So and that right there is probably the only thing that stopped it from getting like a full D, the full D or a D-, right? So they had like mind control commemorative pins that was being placed on people to get them to commit crimes. Like that was the plot point of the movie. It was like, oh, I got this commemorative pin, and if this person is wearing it on their clothes, then you can make them do whatever you want. It's like, all right, that's just trash. I'm supposed to believe that Peter Parker is like a young dude, but he's obviously 30. I'd like to point out also that there was a ransom in this movie. It was like, oh yeah, this guy is a mastermind behind killing all these people. He's making all these random people kill themselves. But if you give us $50 million, we'll stop. And I was like, you know what? In 1974's Wonder Woman, the ransom was $15 million. And in this movie, in 1977 Spider-Man, the ransom was $50 million. So even in this movie, you see that women make less money for men that do the same job. Right?
And I just want to point out, Vapion said, Hannibal liked the music. Hashtag Team Monty. Thank you, Vapion. That is a plunger point for you. I'm going to write that down since Zoe's not.
Oh, man.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
I like that there was at a certain point in the movie, Peter Parker and his homie was handling dangerous radioactive material with the claw machine from Dave and Buster's. That was hilarious. Okay, so we never actually see the spider bite Peter Parker. We see a spider walk behind the book, and then later Peter reaches behind the book and then retracts his hand quickly to let the audience know that he has been bitten. And it made me wonder, did they train the spider to walk behind the book? Or like, did he ever walk a different way and then they had to just reshoot the whole scene? Did they have multiple spiders on set that were just like babies when, they filming movies?
Yeah.
And it's like they just use multiple spiders. And follow-up question to the multiple spiders, are they just buku spiders that was walking around set? After, like, it was like, damn, this one didn't go behind the book like we need him to. He went over that way. Well, fuck it. We can shoot again. And they just had spider after spider after spider back there.
I got to a point where I was trying to figure out what the fuck they were trying to do with or how they got the spider shit done, because it seems so random. How long of a shooting day was it? Did they just have a guy watch some spiders all day?
Yeah.
And dig through his footage?
That's all he did, right?
Yeah.
Fucking Peter Parker has all new abilities. He has the ability to stun people and make them stare at him. He's got the ability to he's a seamstress now.
Yes.
And he has the ability to adjust car seats. You know what I'm saying? And he can take hostages now, apparently. So these are all new powers that, go ahead, McConnell, click in.
Yeah, also, one of the things in the new power setup that I was looking at is, what's up with the like underhand toss net shot?
yes.
Oh, the slow. It's like
Yes.
no. I'm talking about even how it comes out of his arm, because it's like out of his arm. It's like he's throwing a lasso, but he's also still doing the Spider-Man hands. So then, like out of nowhere, there's just kind of like this like, and then it goes. Yeah, and then it goes up, and it's like a lofted shot, and then it just lands on things, and then it's like I thought that they had at least silly string back then. That's all you need for that.
I think the best one is like at the end when the bad guys finally lose. It's like 3 of them, and they're literally just sitting on the ground waiting for that thing to kind of land on them slowly.
They're like, "Oh God, don't let the spider stuff land on us."
I've been had.
Oh, we're caught.
Shitheads, we are playing with the technical stuff. We're going to keep trying as hard as we can. There is some weird shit happening, and I don't know what the fuck it is. It might be the new Windows update, because I've been all day while doing my normal search that I do to prepare for important shit. There's a Windows update that people are complaining about being super slow. So, and this computer did just recently update, so I don't know. I don't know if that's what's causing it. Something's up, because there's a warning sitting on my screen that I'm not used to. So we're going to keep trying. If this shit gets unbearable, let us know. And we'll see. We'll give you our grades a different way.
Yeah, we'll have to do this. We might have to redo this episode another day where there's no tech issues. We're gonna power through. You guys let us know in the chat. Yeah. I still got some more shit to say about this fucking movie before we get to the next one. All right, fucking. There's a scene where this nigga Peter rescues a mind control person from committing suicide by jumping out of a building. But what he does is he grabs the dude off the ledge of that building and then carries him higher up on the same building. So what's supposed to happen when Peter leaves? Like, if that dude still jumps, now he's just jumping from a higher place. Now you've just made a suicide more efficient. Now you've just made a more efficient, better stain. You know what I'm saying? I think this movie has some of the best bad fight scenes I've ever seen in my life. If there was an award for best bad fight scene, this movie might win best bad fight scene ever.
Say just for those ninjas alone, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like there's a scene. One of my favorite scenes in this movie. And this is the last thing I'm gonna say about it, because I gave this movie a D+, but I gotta say this. After getting injured in a fight with roof ninjas, Spider-Man swings away to then hail a cab. The cabbie rejects him, so instead he rides in the trash part of a dump truck.
Wait, you got to tell him what the point was. The cab driver finally got fed up when he finally drove off. It was because he didn't have any pockets on his suit. He's like, you know what? That's how I know you're not for real. You don't even have pockets on that suit. And then he pulls off.
It was like because the lack of pockets signified that there was no way for him to pay the cab driver, right? So, after getting injured in a fight with roof ninjas, Spider-Man then swings away to hail a cab. The cabbie says, you ain't got no pockets, so you got to get a ride with somebody else. So then he decides to ride in the trash part of a dump truck. But why though? You literally swang towards the cab driver. Why didn't you just swing away? You was just swinging just now. You see what I'm saying? It's weird. It's a very strange movie. And then
the only thing I found that could possibly explain that is that right before all of that happened, he was like up on a roof, and then they cut the line, and he supposedly fell. So can he not swing while he's hurt? Is that what it was?
There's no Spider-Man reason as to why.
Right. That's me reaching for straws at this point. I had no idea.
In this movie, where it's like Peter Parker, like Peter Parker is like J. Jonah Jameson is like J. Jonah Jameson is saying that he wants all right, my bad. J. Jonah Jameson is like, people keep calling about this Spider-Man person, and then Peter Parker is like, oh yeah, I know who that is. I've seen him. I got a picture of him. And they're like, well, what does he look like? And he was like, huh? And he's like, what does the Spider-Man look like? And then he has no idea how to describe himself to J. Jonah Jameson. It was like J. Jonah Jameson said, well, what does the Spider-Man look like? How many legs do he have? He said, well, that's a dumb question. Got 2 legs, of course. And then I hate this, but I love this, because it's a black dude that works with like J. Jonah Jameson, and he was like, what kind of shoes did he have on? You know what I'm saying? I bet he was wearing sneakers. Like, because those are the best things to wear if you decide to climb a wall. This movie is bad. But it's for me it was funny bad. Like I was like it was bad for all the wrong it was good for all the wrong reasons. This was like Mystery Science Theater bad. And if you high or drunk and you making fun of it with friends, it's hilarious. If you're a Spider-Man fan and you watch this movie, you will be wildly disappointed. You know what I'm saying? But it's funny. And just last thing I gotta say real fast. At the end of the movie, hold on, where's it at? At the end of the movie, they listed Stan Lee as a script consultant. I can guarantee they did not consult Stan Lee when they made this movie. They just did this shit.
Can I chime in on this one?
Good.
Wait. Ace Wonder has something to say. I'm gonna let him say it first.
Go. Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm sure his consultation was literally just giving him the permission to make it in the first place. That's it.
Well, yeah.
There we go. I can hear me now. All right. My thing with it is, I know, and I agree with you. And sorry if I'm giving looks. I'm not. I'm telling the audience so they don't start picking up drama that's not there. So. Yeah. It looks like I'm pointing at somebody going, "What the fuck's wrong with him?" No. we're working out Mike shit. No, the thing that stood out to me is that Stan Lee has always been big about being in any movie that represents something he created. Can y'all tell me what the Stan Lee cameo was in this? No, there was no Stan Lee cameo.
That's how you know, right? Yeah.
Early on, they didn't have all the creative control.
True.
Superhero movies weren't nearly what they are now, where you have the leverage to say, "This is how I want to do it." He probably, in order to even get that made, probably just had to hand it over to him and hope for the best. Which all of us creative people have been in that position.
Oh yeah, that's almost regular.
True. So there we go, and there was that one. And I don't have my list. Oh, I know what's next. I don't need the list. Let's turn it off so I can switch.
Oh,
all right, but wait, here we go. No, you can keep it on.
All right, so we got everybody's rankings on Spider-Man 1977. So now we will go to 1978's. He's pulling up the graphic now. 1978's Superman, directed by Richard Donner. This was a big staple and a big classic. So let's go ahead and send it off to our guest, Ace Wonder, Ben Collinsworth. What you guys think about Superman? And look, everybody in the chat, make sure you drop your grades in as well, because your grades get at, like, we have like the shit show list, and then we have the shit heads list. So you guys' grades are getting averaged in as well. So let us know what you guys think. If you saw the movie within 30 days, go ahead and drop your. That's all I ask is, if you're gonna give a grade, I hope that you've seen the movie within 30 days. You know what I'm saying? So that's it. All right, Ace Wonder, I hand it to you, sir. What did you think about 1978 Superman? 78, right? 78.
Start with the grade. I gave it a B, just a flat B. And I normally, I'm a big Superman guy, so my grade is normally higher than that, but I had to take some points away for that 3-hour director's cut, man. Even for a big Superman fan, I can now understand why a lot of that stuff was cut, especially like the first hour of the movie, which is painful to watch until Christopher Reeve showed up. It's almost like it's two separate movies, to be honest. But you could see a big jump watching these movies chronologically. Going from Spider-Man 77 to Superman 78 was like going from writing on paper to high-speed internet. But with that being said, there are levels to this. So even as you watch Superman 1, you realize, man, Star Wars came out the same year, and this is no Star Wars. Mm-hmm. So it's, while it was better than Spider-Man, it still fell somewhere in the middle as far as real quality. But I could be wrong about this. I wrote down a question, like, was this the first superhero movie to get kind of like Oscar type treatment?
Yeah. Yeah, this is the first
Oscar level actors, and
this is the first one to get like the full real push.
Yeah, and you could see it, like right from the intro sequence, you can see that this is going to be a different beast.
Yeah.
Than Spider-Man. But yeah, so I enjoyed it. I'm a big Superman fan. I've always liked this movie. But it's hard for me to watch just the first one. So having to watch just part one, it kind of lost a little bit for me without having to watch part two with it together. Like my whole life, you don't watch part one without part two.
Oh, okay.
And to be honest with you, you don't even watch part one. You just watch part two. You.
That's like original series Star Trek movie. You just started right at the top.
Yeah. But a couple notes. Let's see. Oh yeah, I think I said that already. Oh, Christopher Reeve. I want to start with the rooftop scene, the interview scene. I thought that was a really dope scene. The old me thought that was an even better scene because I thought that was a good way to be. But he was going through all of that trouble to impress Lois Lane, who is obviously not a great human being. So the way I look at it now as a grown man, I think I feel a little bit more like Batman on it. And I think me and Hannibal talked about the like Superman tried to finesse her. I think Batman would have smashed and never called her back. And it would
like a fucking boss.
You know, so yeah, that and I didn't understand. Well, watching part one without part two, you get the part at the beginning with General Zod and the criminals, and it doesn't even have any context if you don't watch it with part two. So it also, like, if you're really watching this as a standalone film, I could see that being a problem for you too. But honestly, I didn't have any super duper problems with the movie after Christopher Reeve. You know, after they go to like the modern day and you get to your regular Superman, I was pretty okay with it after that. But yeah, be a flat B for me on that.
I have nothing but minus marks in my assessment here. The movie's a D. The movie is a D.
Ooh, wow.
It's got the opening is stupid long, too long. But of course, you can get away with flashy letters and lights and lava lamp close-ups in the 70s.
But after 45 minutes, still, you're just kind of like,
yeah. But I mean that low song. We're gonna briefly touch this. There is full frontal child nudity in this movie.
Yep, there is. There is.
I think more than once, huh?
It's probably one shot, but they go back to it twice.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I was under the impression that's never been okay.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I mean, I'm not trying to be prudish about it, but it's like, you know, like that kid's totally naked in this movie, and that kind of made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, that made me uncomfortable too.
Yeah, but
and maybe
I don't even remember seeing it. I don't think.
Maybe this is what it is, because I'm noticing that the two people that have a problem with the full frontal child nudity are the two people that don't have children. That's just at a certain point, that was like everyday life. Like you look around, oh, there's a naked kid, put something on, and then you move on about your day.
Maybe so.
That's, you see a kid, that kid's just naked.
I didn't think about that being a reason, but
yeah, that.
I just kind of breezed right past it.
Yeah, I didn't even notice it.
I don't disqualify the truth of that statement, but what I'm saying though is that
it is what it is.
But it is a movie. They do go through a whole like process of making sure to show you that they put like garments and clothing and cloth in there with him.
Right.
So at what point, like, we can't just get like the cape wrapped around the kid on the butt? I mean, like, that's what they've done in literally every other incantation of the story that I've seen.
They probably, because they seen this one. It's like,
because
I'm a naked child.
Like, it doesn't even make sense to me. Yeah, it's like,
I would say this: if they're being realistic with it, if the Kryptonians did go through the shit of wrapping the cloth around them and all that, by the time this ship hits Earth, that kid knows nothing about shame. And, oh, I gotta cover my dick before I look at these old white people.
They learned the history of the world on the way here.
Yeah.
He should know to put some
Marlon
damn pants
Brando's
on.
been talking to him the whole damn time.
But here's the thing: if you follow that movie through, that shit was talking to him the whole time, but Clark is still blockheaded. Clark didn't learn shit because he still had to spend, what was it, 20-something years in the fucking Fortress of Solitude? He learned nothing from that. And it started with the fucking magnets. How do they work? Oh, Streamlabs. I will get to that. It started with the first lesson Jor-El tries to teach him in the very beginning. So that does not work for why the kid doesn't cover himself. Clark's a blockhead. He doesn't give a fuck. He's stupid. I really think the naked kid's a non-issue because he wasn't sexualized. That kid was just, this ship crashed. Is this what they would call art? This is, no, like that's what this falls under. I think Daryl's right. Or Ace Wonder, sorry. Oh, all good, man. I think that's what this falls under. This is an artistic liberty because this kid is not sexualized. This kid is just literally just crashed to Earth and steps out. It's like, oh, we got to do something with this naked kid that's standing in front of us.
Also, can we just point out for a second that Clark Kent came to Earth in the crystalline entity that terrorized the Federation for all those years? Is it possible that all this shit takes place in the same universe? That maybe when he was flying from Krypton to Earth, he passed through Federation space, right? And then, no, it can't. See, that's not what happened, but it could have happened, all right? Because that crystalline entity caused all kinds of issues and shit. You know what I'm saying? And if it had, like, some Kryptonian baby piss in it, then maybe that's when it became self-aware. Just float it out. I'm sorry. Big Collinsworth, please continue with your answer.
All right. So I got that. Why is Lex Luthor hanging out in the sewer when he's supposed to be a brilliant billionaire?
Yeah.
Like he and in real estate, like you couldn't find one building.
Are we supposed to believe that was the best?
Like
best deal
that was the best. That was the best deal for his lair. That was the best deal for his lair. All right.
I'll be honest. I did ask myself why his sidekick. That was the best people you could find,
right,
to work with.
Oh, he hires the best people.
Right.
The best people.
He literally. It's like Donald Trump all over again.
Oh no, the bad guy. Gene Hackman is doing Donald Trump in this movie.
Right.
I mean,
I just realized that would explain why all his friends got indicted at the end of the movie. There you go.
That's exactly why. Then okay, long, empty, boring, stupid, pointless shots.
Yes.
All throughout the movie. Now, and here's one this is one that I'm gonna break down like Hannibal. What the fuck with the damn helicopter crash?
Yeah.
You mean to tell me that this helicopter that should take off and down and land on this roof routinely, a cable is just gonna pop up, trip this helicopter, turn it on its side, which, by the way, if a helicopter turns on its side like that, it's not going to like just land on its side and just turn over and be fine. No, it's going to keep going until it's going to start cutting into something, and Lois Lane's dead.
Right.
If the ridiculous premise of this helicopter crash even starts to begin with, everybody's died. It doesn't matter how quick Superman has to be standing right there and catch it in order to stop it.
Might have to do that reverse Earth thing again.
Exactly. He's just gonna have to go ahead and turn Earth around again, which is my last note. After that, I get into now. This is the thing. This is a big critique that I have of all DC stuff that I'm starting to notice more, and specifically Superman. Superman perpetuates the concept of a savior myth.
Yeah. And
I have problems with that because it doesn't work for me. It doesn't interest me. Every time it's Superman, every storyline of Superman is one of two things: is he going to show up in time to fix whatever is going on, or is Kryptonite going to be there to stop him? There's no variation of a storyline after that. Everything else is just shading, to me at least.
All right.
And because of that, he's not as interesting. However, there are some things that don't get covered that much when you're talking about Superman. Like that Superman completely manipulates mass media at all times in the era. When anything happens, who's reporting on him? His girlfriend or himself. So something happens, who's going to be able to say what happened? Oh, well, you're going to trust the group at the Daily Planet, the lady who's literally decided that the headline that she was going to go with for her big piece was "I spent the night with Superman."
I thought that was such a horrible idea.
Which I'm like, would that have really even played then?
Great title, because at the end of the day they got to sell subscriptions, and what's going to sell subscriptions? Dumbass headlines. Yeah.
Well, look, I know Hannibal the Click Animal, but the thing is, the thing is though, still, I'm like, do you like Lois Lane is also supposed to take that whole like edge of journalistic integrity and everything?
She's supposed to be like a Pulitzer,
right? She's supposed to be like
I noticed that when I seen the story.
You don't want to like tell the audience I indirectly or even euphemistically I slept with Superman. But beyond all that, it's like I said,
that would sell papers.
Yeah, but she's like, that, and this is the thing. Man from outer space that she doesn't know at all tells her, "Oh, I don't ever lie," and then tells her that, "Oh, I'm all about truth and justice in the American way," and she just buys it.
Yeah,
she just buys it.
Yeah. We are watching this now from the perspective that we kind of have a different perspective of what the American way is now, too.
Well,
but
but
wait. Let me
chime in on this. So, does it affect the grade? Like, let's say that 20,000 years from now, and we'll make it only in America. 20,000 years from now, America's like, fuck anything that's red. This is offensive to us as a country, and we all agree on that. Does that make every movie that has something red in it bad?
I see
in that time?
I see what you did there.
Asking if you're grading on the 2019 scale or you grading on when you've seen it.
I see what you're saying. My issue is that the Lois Lane character is supposed to be an inquisitive and hard-hitting reporter. That is what she's designed as. That's what she's always presented as and everything else. And frankly, I think that they made her a lesser character in this film than the Lois Lane character is actually.
Oh yeah, but it's the 80s.
And I think because of that, and it is the 80s and it is a part of the era. But my point is that even from the source material, she is a lesser character. Like the Lois Lane, even from the old black and white television show, to me was a more convincing, more powerful, more interactive, more doing something Lois Lane.
Oh yeah,
than the one in this movie.
A lot more involved in the storylines too.
Yeah,
back in that material.
Yeah,
I agree with all that, but does that change what I mentioned about this? The point I was bringing home. This is a product of its time. That's the Lois Lane. This is the story. This story is still a good story. Like, this Superman movie was not a bad movie. Like, if this movie was made today by our standards, then yes, we can have this conversation. This movie is what it is. We have to keep this in mind when grading these movies.
And it changed.
Yeah, and it's because it's because of the time we live in, we have to do that. Because, in my opinion, because I have a problem with a permanent label of terrible on someone because of what they did in the past, if they have grown from it, if they acknowledge that shit from the past, if they've grown from it, I have a problem with them always being labeled as bad. This is a movie. The movie can never acknowledge it's bad. The movie is what it is. And look, The Chronic is still a great album, even though every woman's a fucking bitch. It's misogynistic as fuck. The Chronic's a great album. It will never cease to be a great album. Ever. Ever.
I will tell you, the only way that my grade changed for 2019 was that we watched the 3-hour version, and I lost a little bit watching that particular cut of the movie. Because I think a lot of the complaints are in those extra.
Yeah, I have never gone the whole way through Superman because it has always bored me until having to do it for this show.
And that's fair. That's fair.
That's and when I get to that, that's why, and I say that because specifically also that because what I did watch all of was that old black and white Superman with I think his name was George Reeves.
George Reeves.
Yeah, I used to watch the George Reeves one. I watched all of that show. It predates this movie, so you can't tell me that like even to me the the 80s argument concept doesn't necessarily hold as much water, because it's like the template was there already for this particular instance in which I bring up.
Yeah.
So that's why I grade them. I do grade them against what's there. And Lois Lane's always presented that way, and she's weak in this movie. She literally exists in this movie to get tied to the train tracks all the time. Like that's her only function. And I think that's bad and lazy storytelling from the standpoint of Superman, whether you're going to talk about Superman in general. Flying scene's bullshit. Physics is still the same now as it would have been then. And the whole flying around thing, and then he's holding her all the way out at a complete latitude by the fingertips.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so are we supposed to believe? Are we supposed to? Yeah, but even in science fiction, we acknowledge science reality.
We do. But let me
chime in on this, because this is going to tie into things that are going to come up for the rest of this. But before we get there, I want to say, Beef Swellington, thank you for the Streamlabs. Spend this money on booze and weed, because I'm not at the moment. Thank you for that. And then he also said, cash. Enough said.
Enough said.
Yeah. Thank you, Beef Swellington.
Yes.
But there is, and I don't want to forget this when we start talking about these movies, because we keep talking. These conversations always go to, this is unbelievable, this doesn't work. There is a moment in storytelling, and it's going to come up in V, where there's some unbelievable moments. Even after they go, here, it's believable because of this. No, it's still not believable. I don't believe that. There are so many, if you pull this fantasy world too close to the real world, we can easily make this shit look like trash. It's easy to say something's trash, like, hey, Hannibal, what's Wizard of Oz about?
Well, the Wizard of Oz is about this young girl from Kansas who kills somebody and then joins up with 3 people so she can kill again.
See? We can do that if we break it down. And I'm saying we need to take our bias out of this when we are judging these movies, and we need to judge them as the movies they are.
No, I get what you're saying, but I also get Ben Collinsworth's
and
point.
I get him. He's making valid points, and I'm not shitting on you, dude. I'm really not shitting on you.
No, because look, there's certain things that require us to suspend our disbelief in reality in order for it to work, and then some stuff is just bad storytelling. Yeah. And the question is, when does it cross that line from being one and being the other?
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm trying to draw the lines, hearing this with Superman. I'm like, her flying, I think, might be a step too far. Like her being extended, that's a great visual. That when you see that is a phenomenal visual. Well, like Superman with her, and she's just extended and flying with him. That's a really great moment. It doesn't make sense realistically. It's when you apply physics and science to it. No, that's bullshit. But it looks amazing.
Well, see, I think that scene, that scene it has a weird juxtaposition, because on one hand you got that awesome visual, and on the other side you have this really shit poem that she's doing in the background, and that's the thing we need to be talking about.
Yeah, I'm with that.
She's like, "Can you read my mind? I'm so far behind."
Yeah. That's the bullshit.
I'm wondering if I can, because he is Superman. Please hold my hand. Yes. He is just a man. It's just and I'm like, oh my God, it's just, and I was like, why did I never notice this shit poem before? Right.
Yeah, no, so that's actually my next note about the same thing too, is that internal narration by a character in a movie, period, across time, is considered lazy storytelling.
I'll be
because
honest.
it's literally just putting in like, oh, the characters saying, I think and feel all of this, and this is how things are. And it's like there's nothing earned about it. There's nothing there's no like intercommunication of somebody responding off of it. There's nothing. And that the two things together they compound the issue and make it worse.
I think it's
for me.
I think it's an interesting position though, because I think we're watching the movie from two different perspectives. Yeah. I know when it comes to music, I kind of listen to music from this perched up place where I kind of know all of this stuff about music. When it comes to movies, I watch movies like a regular Joe. I like B movies. I like those horror. I like Dolph Lundgren movies. Like the worse the acting, the worse the script, but the cheaper the explosions, the better for me.
But that's where also I get into it though with this movie though, is that it's like, yes, all of that like Expendables-esque action that you're talking about there is great and fine for a movie that admits to being the Expendables. This movie is trying to say that they are a serious Superman movie. They got John Williams to do the music. They got Marlon Brando, who is listed above the guy playing Superman because it's Marlon damn Brando. And so my point is that, yeah, that visual's nice. That's not the kind of Superman movie y'all trying to make. You know what? I would be totally fine with that visual in an animated movie. I'm not going to give beef to an animated movie.
But
in this live action realm with it's like, and physics is applying into all this other stuff, and you're going to try to pull this other stupid stuff like the helicopter and everything else too, and then just completely remove it there.
But this is Hollywood. What I picked up in the movie immediately was that the movie wasn't really made for me at all. I think they made this movie to lean towards women. And the way that
what they thought that leaned towards.
Yeah, what they thought leaned towards women.
Let me and I think we really have to do this with this. Take yourself back to when this came out. The tagline for this movie was, because this was one of the first comic book movies.
I mean, I think you could make the argument this is the first real comic book movie.
And the tagline for this movie was, "You will believe a man can fly." So, from that perspective, you will believe a man can fly. They already know we're bringing you in. We're showing you some of the wildest shit you've ever seen in film. This is the moment where we're showing you this shit. You are going to believe a man can fly. At that point, with the audience we're dealing with, you're told how much you need to suspend disbelief. Mm-hmm. And if we're arguing physics as something that makes this a bad movie, with the tagline, "You will believe a man can fly," those arguments are invalid for this movie.
I think if you take it No, I think if you take it actually back to the time of the movie, I still don't think it's a great movie because, like I think I talked about it earlier, because there's levels to it. But like I say, I still give it a B. But I got a certain bias built in there as well.
And like I give
what's your grade?
B
and
a flat B on Superman.
I mean, and I give it a lot of leeway.
Hang on,
let's get a grade baseline so we know where we're all coming from on this. So wait, what are our grades?
I gave Superman like the theatrical release a B+. I gave the one that we watched.
Wait, they're off.
Oh, I say I give the Superman like at the actual theatrical release, the one that's like way shorter than this, I give it a B+, where I give the one that we watched a B, like mostly because of the stuff that got added in.
I got D.
All right.
Just real fast, live action animation, who is in the chat and has been a guest on the show, she gave it an A-.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Well, she's a huge Superman stan, so that's what that is. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Notice how I called her a stan. Because
I noticed how you did that, and you're fucking wrong. I gave this movie a B-. Okay. So that's where I fall on Superman. It's a B- for me.
We've been living in the same neighborhood today, man.
I know.
And for me, Ben Collinsworth gave it a D. Okay, yeah, I actually gave the movie a C+. We're in the same ballpark. Like if, and I'm not the watching the 3-hour version of the movie versus the theatrical release, that isn't the issue. This is one of them things where after watching the movie back again, I realized it just has not aged as well. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things about it, like it's still almost a good movie. Like, it's still almost a really good movie because all the pieces are there. The story is there. If somebody's a fan of Superman, like, I think, and Daryl, I don't know, like, have you ever tried to show this movie to your son?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we watched it a couple times.
What did he think of that?
He enjoyed it, but I mean, he enjoys Shazam too. So, you know, not to foreshadow, but yeah, he's 8.
All right,
and that's my point. Is that how is the movie going to be interpreted by people who are getting exposed to it for the first time? You know what I'm saying?
I say another point I want to make about it though is like when we watched it, we don't ever just watch the first one. Anytime I ever watch it outside of this experience, I gotta watch both movies. I just watch part 2.
And I'm willing to bet that the subsequent ones actually bail out the first one.
Yes, part 2 definitely bails out the first one. I usually don't even go back because of that first hour of the movie.
Yeah,
I don't even really bother with because it takes you an hour to see Superman for the first time.
Yeah, and I judge. I mean, and I also in watching this, I did think about like what has been my relationship to this movie all along. And even when I was 8, I thought this movie was dog shit boring. I just didn't say dog shit.
Right.
I just said it was really, really boring and made me want to go to sleep.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Always, I come from the school of thought like Ace Wonder. I've always watched Superman 1 and 2 as like one long movie. You know what I'm saying? It's like the first movie is the basic origin, but the second movie with Zod and everybody else is the movie that I really came to watch. Look, I don't have a lot to say about this movie that I haven't already said. Like, I thought the movie was almost like going back and rewatching it today. You know, like there's some things about it that still work. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always and I heard somebody say once before that like Superman represents the way America sees itself in the world, and Batman represents the way the world sees America.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Oh.
All right.
I can see that. I would also say that Superman Red Sun, the one shot, is the actual true nature of Superman.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Well, let's hit the next one, and let's do the next one a little different. Before we start the discussion, let's go around and give our grades, and then let's discuss it. I don't even remember what the next one is. Let's give grades so that we know where we're all standing talking about it.
Okay.
So here we go.
I'm with that. Let's do grades first, and everybody in the chat, you know, like if you've seen the movies, throw your grades down there. The next movie we're talking about is 1994's The Mask.
Yes, it is from July 28th, 1994. The Mask.
Yes, which I don't know how many people knew that was a comic book movie ahead of time.
And since we're on this side right now, we'll start and we'll let it go around, and then we'll start the discussion. I gave The Mask a B.
All right, I gave it a C minus.
Yeah, we're living in the same neighborhood again, man. I gave it a B as well.
All right.
It's a movie that kind of has a few different parts for it that change the grade. It's an A minus.
Oh wow!
I can see that. I considered giving it an A.
It's an A minus.
Okay.
Me and Ben Collinsworth need to have a conversation because
all right, have it out.
Yeah, because definitely like giving Superman a D, but then giving this like an A minus, bruh. I did. Okay, we need to talk. All right, so first,
Wait. Let's talk some shit. I wish I could cue that sound.
Yes,
Where is Zoe? All right, Apple and Ben Collinsworth are about to talk some shit.
No, I'm just like, look, because I know that is a wrong rating. just look, you are entitled to your opinion, but your opinion is wrong. Okay, it's like saying 2 + 2 is yellow, but that's just my opinion. That's just what you did with this, like to give Superman 1978 a D, but you gave The Mask an A minus, and for the record. I got into it. Well, I roasted Billy the Fridge about this too when we did the female superhero episode because he shitted on Wonder Woman. Yeah, he hold wait, you know they can't hear you. Wait, hold on. So, look, they like Billy the Fridge shitted on Wonder Woman. I don't want to say shitted. That's not fair. But he gave Wonder Woman like a fairly low grade, and then he gave like Josie and the Pussycats a very high grade.
That's true.
And I'm like, there's no, like, look, I don't care how you justify, we're not judging them based on how you like them. We're judging them based on the quality of these films. That's why we brought you guys on here, because we want you to judge them on a certain non-bias as films. And I'm like, to say that Josie and the Pussycats in any world is better than the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman is wrong. Okay, that is misinformation. All right, that is like somebody trying to explain to me that Prince is not as good of an artist as Soulja Boy. There is no version of reality where that. So Ben, I hand the floor to you, sir.
So this is. But I'll be listening.
This is
You gave it a what? Oh, I gave it a B.
Yeah, I want to be.
So much for that grade thing. No. It's what it is. What it is. I gave it a flat B. Wait. We're talking about the yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I gave it a B.
Collinsworth is A minus. Hold on, I'm writing this shit down. Give me this. Ben Collinsworth Creole Alliance.
You don't have to write all of it.
Oh yeah, I gotta write the whole thing. Okay, I need to submit this in my mind, right? Actually, now I feel like I'm a hater because I gave it a C minus. I'm like, damn. I'm like, y'all must have. All right.
So there's a few reasons why. For one, I literally have this written down. The movie for me would be a B plus if Jim Carrey was not in it.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Jim moves the meter from B to A to me. Because I don't think.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Because I don't think that there's anybody else who could have made that movie and done that character as well as Jim Carrey. And I still don't think there's one.
I actually might have been like one of his finer.
Yeah, and it's an early performance for Jim, and I think he's fantastic at it.
I'll be honest, I didn't appreciate it as much in '94.
Right, and he carries that movie.
Absolutely.
I mean, the bad guy isn't necessarily compelling in any which way.
Right.
And without Jim, the whole thing starts to fall apart.
So I think
Jim,
that's the whole thing. It's just a vehicle.
Yeah, but it is a vehicle, and it is a vehicle for him out of his early work, and it's one that's there. The makeup effects work is fantastic.
Yeah.
The visual effects actually still hold up to this day.
Yeah, I agree. Do you know why? I think it's because they weren't heavy-handed in it. They were very selective about how they used it.
That is exactly why. Yeah. Because the things that are from the 90s to the late 2000s that hold up the best are the directors who said that I'm only going to use it to do exactly what I need it to do,
right,
and get out of it because it's too much.
Yeah.
It shows.
And I think that they used a nice mix. Like the older movies didn't have special effects like talking about, so they had to use camera tricks and
a lot
techniques.
a lot more in-camera effects,
and they kind of have a good mix of the old way of doing it, and then they got a little bit of CG as well. And I think that's a good mix.
Some great prop design, some great costume design, some great set design, and all the things. But actually, a mark off that I would say is that it doesn't lean into an era per se, because there's old cars and stuff in it, but then they're not too modern about it. I think it would have been good if it had stated it. I always had thought that it would have been stated if it stayed like an era, it would have helped it hit some timelessness.
Nice.
And then the other thing is that song and dance numbers, man. Song and dance numbers are hard to do in a movie, and that movie's got what, 3?
And I didn't even all the way not enjoy those. And we've talked before. I have a really hard time.
Yeah, that's where we get out of sync. All of us.
Yeah, look, I actually, part of the reason I penalized the movie was because it's like, oh, so y'all gonna give me like 3. So this is a diet musical, and you motherfuckers ain't gonna tell. You got to tell me first that that's what I'm going into. All right?
You didn't like that? Come on, Pete. I'm the king of the rumba, Pete. That was good shit.
I don't think I enjoyed any of them, but I was able to.
Yeah, I mean,
but I just have a thing for.
I mean, if it's not your type of music and stuff like that, but I'm just saying from a technical execution as a movie standpoint, that shit's hard.
I got you. Yeah.
I guess that.
It's hard doesn't mean that it's good. Tyler Perry does lots of shit that's hard that's not good. Fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like making meth is hard, it's not good.
It's one of those situations where they did a good job and we just don't like it because we don't like that kind of stuff.
I think that's a little bit of it.
I think that's what it is. If musical numbers are not your thing, is it fair to deduct points because You simply don't like it.
I think if you go, if I go into a horror movie,
yeah,
and then in the middle of the horror movie, you throw a family movie in that horror movie, you know what I'm saying? And that is not how it's sold, then yeah, I have a problem with that. Like, but look, for me, and look, I'm not gonna go into no big rant about The Mask. I thought this was a mediocre, forgettable movie. I think there's
forgettable?
Yes, I think there's.
Oh fuck! Wait, hang on.
Yeah.
I think continue.
Yes, I think it's a mediocre, forgettable movie. I think a lot of stuff that everybody remembers about this movie now is because we all just watched this fucker. Like if a week ago, if I had quoted some shit from The Mask that wasn't one of the big selling draws that they had in the fucking commercials, I don't think we're having this conversation right now. But we all just watched it a couple days ago.
I don't remember very much about it at all from back in the day. So when I watched it, it was almost like watching it all over.
I loved it back in the day
because I didn't appreciate it.
I loved it when it came out, and I'm still even to the point where you say smoking, and I'm gonna think of Jim Carrey doing it in the Green Mask.
I was just like, this is kind of where I lean.
Cool, you're fine. You're fine.
Make sure they hear you
I'm trying not to talk over y'all. Like, I want y'all to have your time, but I'll get to y'all in a second. Hannibal's fucking wrong again. Like, I love you, man. Like, I do. Like I took what was that, an hour and a half out of a show prep day to drive you to the fucking West Bank? I fucking love you, man. But
that's some real love to go to the West Bank.
There's never a reason to go to the West Bank, right? Harry Lee country? No, sir. Yeah. So look, and I'm willing to accept that I'm gonna have the unpopular opinion on this one. I was like, when I saw it, I was like, this was. So here's the funny thing. I watched the Spider-Man movie and then I watched The Mask. I was not sober watching either movie. Spider-Man was not supposed to be funny, and I literally cried laughing my ass off. I did not laugh watching The Mask. I didn't. Maybe, and I don't think it's a good movie. I think it's slightly below average.
Really?
I think if you took a list of all of Jim Carrey's movies and put them in order of their greatness from best to worst, I think The Mask falls right in the middle. Maybe the top of the middle. Maybe it's the bottom of the top of his movies.
See, and this is why I want to challenge you, because it goes back to what I was saying before when I was talking to Ace, when I pointed y'all out, like, and the point you started making. I really do, and for as long as I've known you, the minute a musical number appears in a movie, you're like, fuck this movie fucked up. This movie goes down. And you say it's a letter grade, but it's more like a letter grade and a half to 2.
It depends on the movie, because I can name some A+ musicals.
And I bet you can. We'll get to that in a bit.
And look, and these are movies that I will look at and be like, this movie is amazing. This movie is an A. I don't ever want to see this shit again.
Yeah, but here's where I'm going.
Except Labyrinth. David Bowie is God.
This movie, and
I know. I know. I just
what I've always seen in The Mask is, and I can't remember the Looney Tunes character's name.
Daffy Duck.
No, it's not Daffy Duck.
He reminds The Mask is like, to me, he's
fucking Magnus. How do they work?
I'll get to your Streamlabs after I'm done with Hannibal.
He's Daffy Duck. You know, when he's all coked out and jumping around. Woo, you know what I'm saying? Like the Roger Rabbit Daffy Duck.
Okay. Now this is the problem, because that statement tells me you didn't watch the movie, because they told you which fucking character he was in the movie. Because he emulates that character throughout the entire movie, and it was never Daffy Duck. It's the fucking fox that dresses up in the suit, which is not Daffy Duck. Why did you go to Daffy Duck? He went to this character that was...
Did Daffy Duck not also elicit a lot of those same traits?
Daffy Duck did.
Okay, all right. And whose character came first in those cartoons?
All right, but wait, let me show you something. Watch this. I did that to the camera and you go, he showed me Beavis and Butthead.
Look.
That's what this movie did, and that's what you did.
Look, listen. I watched the thing. Look, and then even today, as we were on the way to go get the pralines for E Green, our favorite flat earther, I was like, you know what? I don't even remember how the movie ended. Let me put the movie back on just so I can remember how it ended. And I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, so I tried not to take points off because, like, the movie pitches itself as absurd. So I didn't take off any points for it being absurd. So anything that happened in the story or the acting points or anything like that, it was just, I just thought it was a below average movie. I thought it was a slightly below average movie.
Here's the funny thing. As I watched it, it's never been my favorite Jim Carrey movie. But in watching it, we're talking about trying to give our unbiased opinions. I was still watching it like, man, they put that together well, or he did that well. So I ended up giving it points in places where maybe I didn't even enjoy it as much.
It's edited well. It has good music.
Like I said, and I picked up the thing about the CGI too, like the way they were using it at a certain point. I'm not really on that level like that.
The CG use is good.
They're doing a good job.
There's a like that club is an awesome set piece. That club, and so is his apartment.
Yeah,
there's a lot of good dog work. That's not easy. They do a lot of little things well.
But
I'm not even looking at it from a production standpoint. I'm looking at what they showed us. Like that movie, from start to finish. Once you meet Stanley Ipkiss, we establish him as, this is the unlucky guy, piece of shit loner, or not even piece of shit. The guy with a heart of gold that life just shits on. That's who he is. He gets home. He sees you meet the dog. This dog is way too smart to be a dog. Yeah. And what does he do when he gets home? He pops in the cartoon that tells you who he's emulating, which is not Daffy Duck. And we establish a movie. Like, we know what we're dealing with. We're dealing with this loser that loves cartoons, idolizes this character. That's not Daffy Duck. And that exists in the Looney Tunes universe. The same universe that Daffy Duck exists in. I can't remember his name, so I'm fucking up there. But, yeah, the wolf. I don't know his name. But
it's not Winston Wolf. I mean, I know that's
maybe
Pulp
it is
Fiction,
Winston Wolf.
Was that where Pulp Fiction got it from?
I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking Pulp Fiction. I don't know. I don't know the character's name. I'm going to go with that. But we establish all that before he gets the mask. The moment he gets the mask, who does he become? He becomes not Daffy Duck. And the movie's a cartoon from then on. Including the musical scenes, which were regulars in Looney Tunes cartoons. This was a Looney Tunes cartoon in live action with Jim Carrey, the most cartoonish comedian I could think of from that time.
So look, this is what I will do, because I hear all the points that you're touching on, right? Ace Wonder, Ben Collinsworth from the Creole Lines. I hear all the points. What I will do is not submit my grade for The Mask, and we'll re-watch this movie.
All right.
And then give my grade. I'll do a live stream where I talk about just my grade in this movie. Because, like, my initial gut was CC minus. It was an average. When I went into it, I was like, well, I saw this movie once or twice when I was young, and I was like, all right, this is what I thought about it then. And when I watched it, I was like, yeah, this is exactly how I feel about it now. The same way Ben felt about Superman, it's the same way I felt watching The Man.
You just told him he was wrong.
Yeah, and look.
But I guess,
I'm willing to go back and rewatch this movie, with a different set of eyes, a different perspective, and see if I think that is, if maybe I got it wrong, maybe I missed the point of it. You know what I'm saying? I was the person that heard Erykah Badu's Bag Lady, and I for real just thought it was about a homeless bitch. I didn't know it was about a woman's baggage and struggle. I missed the point. Sometimes you miss the point. You know what I'm saying? I was high as a kite as I was watching this movie. So maybe I missed it. So I'll do that. Oh, you're not.
I watched the movie. I found myself impressed by what I saw, but even with that, I don't want to watch it again. If that makes any sense. I seen it. I was like, I can respect this for what it is, but I won't keep it on my playlist.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, this movie's not for everybody, but that doesn't make it a bad movie. Like that doesn't lower the grade. Is what I'm saying.
I didn't say it was a bad movie.
No, you didn't say it was a bad movie.
I said it was slightly below average.
Yeah, but your critiques were wrong. That's all.
About Daffy Duck. I apologize for saying Daffy Duck and not saying Howlin' Wolf. And that is the type of mistake that I will admit on air.
Wait,
you know what I'm saying? Because
go ahead. Hang on. You are not about to fucking clickbait me again.
No.
I am not saying.
I'm agreeing with you.
I am not saying because you got the character name wrong that you missed the whole point of the movie. Yeah. That's how Hannibal is trying to frame this. Team Monty is honest. Hannibal is trying to frame it to say that because he got the character name wrong, he didn't understand the movie. That's not what the fuck I'm saying. I'm saying he didn't get the point of the movie because while he's right about he got the character name wrong, but he also got the fucking character wrong. Storm is not Rogue. And he said, because I didn't think Storm was Rogue, I'm going to revisit this movie. Because apparently getting these two names wrong ruins my opinion.
No.
That's what Hannibal said.
No. I'm going to be real clear about what I'm saying. Everybody thinks this movie is not trash but me. So because I'm looking at the live chat too. So I'm looking at the chat and I'm looking at everybody and everybody's like, "Oh, the mask is awesome." I'm like, "Really?" Because my feeling, my gut, which is almost never wrong, is that when people are in the moment, when they are in the energy of a situation, they react a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Now, I think that you guys are capable of recognizing that energy and avoiding it. So if you feel like this about the movie, then that's how you guys feel. But I think the average person that has seen The Mask was like, it was funny when they saw it, and then they forgot about it. Because it wasn't memorable, because it wasn't exceptional.
Why the fuck do you think I picked The Mask?
Again, and I'm willing to do some research on this one, and this is gonna be one of those points that I'm not gonna be able to prove immediately, but I'm gonna do some research, and if I'm wrong, I'll own that shit. Okay, if I'm wrong, I will own that shit. Go ahead, Big Collinsworth.
I promise you, the studio came back and tried to get Jim to do another one, and he said no.
Yo, he did. That's how they ended up with the other.
And that's how they ended up with the other garbage. So that completely refutes the idea that no one cared about this movie after they saw it the first time, because they did it enough that the studio thought that they needed to make another one.
I read about this. They had it. It was on. They were on tap to make another one already, but the dude Richard Jenny died. Is that his name? Richard Jenny?
Maybe.
Something like that. He was a comedian. He used to do the gum commercials and stuff.
Yeah. Well, they had the guy. There was one guy, and then there was the guy that they were going to get to do it because Jim wasn't going to do it again. And then I think something. I guess that guy's the guy that died. Yeah. Then after that, they went with the Son of the Mask, and well, then you're just off the rails and in the woods.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep this shit show moving. Let's go to something that I'm guessing we're all probably going to agree on. The next movie is from March 17th, 2006. V for Vendetta. Let's see if I got this shit right. Y'all start talking while I cue up the graphic.
All right, so Monty wants everybody to go around and give their grades first. So, Ace Wonder, Ben Collinsworth, what grades did you guys give V for Vendetta? And everybody in the chat, too, if you saw V for Vendetta, drop your grades in the chat so I can add it to the list. What did everybody give V for Vendetta?
I gave V for Vendetta, I don't know if you're allowed to do this, but I basically gave it like an A- B++. Yeah, it's B++. It's in that area, you know. But make it an A-.
You know who gives you the B++? The teacher that really is so spiteful they don't want to give you the A.
No, but
that's who gives you a B++.
Yeah, we talked about this the other day. Like, I really enjoyed the movie, but it felt like they tried to do so much stuff in the movie that at a certain point, just for me personally, I got lost. And once I got lost,
it's No, it's
you know what I mean. And I caught back up at the end, but then when I went back to look at my grade, I was like, man, I spent a good 25 minutes trying to figure out where the hell I was at.
No, it's a movie that has a few that I think takes a few jumps with the audience, with the assumption that you sort of kind of already know how sort of an authoritarian government's going to operate.
Yeah.
You have the upside and the time now of living in one. I give it an A though. Overall, I give B an A.
And I can agree with it. Like I probably enjoyed rewatching this one
mostly because it's like not only the execution, but I don't think I have no notes on any of the actors or any performances on look or on anything else. It's a movie that like I really don't have notes for.
Feels more relevant now than even at the time when they made it. Though.
Mike Moore's good at that.
Yeah.
All right, my dogs are barking. I'm sorry. This is a shit show. It happens. Do you want to go first or you want me?
No, you go first.
All right, I gave V for Vendetta an A. Just a solid A.
Well, don't say just a solid A. Getting an A is
an A is
is a huge accomplishment.
An A means you won. This movie fucking won. This was a great movie.
Yeah.
V for Vendetta gets an A. And I always feel bad when I don't give a movie the plus. The plus is bonus.
No, the plus for me is like something to date. I've only given the plus to one movie.
Yeah, I didn't come a little when I saw this movie. As per the list, I came a little when I saw this movie. But I finished and I'm like, that was a fucking great movie.
Yeah, I gave this movie an A minus. I'm actually right there with Daryl. Like if a B plus was a possible grade, I would have given it a B plus. All right. But
maybe that's why this triangle of friendship works. Like y'all sync up now.
It's just
hang out on Easter, Daryl. It'll be awesome.
And I want to quote what Doc Executable said in the chat. He says the CGI action near the end was kind of bad, but it wasn't about the action. It was more about the philosophy. And
we had this conversation.
Yeah, the only matter of fact, because Monty and I actually were watching, like he walked in while I was watching that scene of the movie, and I was remarking about just like I was like, man, it's everything. Like the only two things that I really didn't like about this movie, and these are all personal things. Yeah. So I didn't actually take negatives away from the movie. Tish just walked in the building, and Van just walked in. What's going on? I just doxed the shit out of you just now.
No, you did.
The only thing like in the beginning of the movie where Natalie Portman gets when Evie gets caught by the fingerman and V saves her and he does his old V monologue. I thought that shit was corny as fuck. And every time I see this movie, that scene makes my skin crawl. Like
really?
that,
yeah. Like that
I don't at all. It was like this, and I've said this to you guys before. V for Vendetta is what happens when you let the Royal British Theatre Academy make a superhero movie. You know what I'm saying? And look, that's not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing. That one scene though always makes my fucking skin crawl. Like in that everything from that scene to him blowing up the Bailey, playing the music and shit, and all that whole little sequence. It was like it made my skin cringe. It was just like I was like, oh, it's gonna be one of those movies. But then the movie plays out and it gets fucking fantastic thereafter. Just that little 5-minute window right there. It wasn't for me.
And this is the reason, and I really do think that a shit like this is the reason why we've been friends for so long. Because we agree on this shit. But you have this one thing, you go, the one thing that bothered me is this.
And again, I did not take points off for it.
Yeah, and you didn't take points off. I'm not even faulting you for it. Yeah. I'm just letting the shitheads know why Hannibal and Monty have been friends for so long. Because it's shit like this. We both agree on this movie and how awesome it is.
Yeah.
But then he says some shit like that, and I'm like, but he's fucking wrong. And we stay on the phone for hours arguing about that shit.
Yeah.
On a movie we both think think is great. And we're not going to get into it now because we spent so much time arguing about other shit. V is coming up again on a shit show. Stay tuned. Ben Collins
had some shit to say.
I just wanted to note this is the second film in a row that Hannibal has had a problem with a scene that had a musical number in it.
Yeah, true.
I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. But my issue there is less about the music and the Bailey. It's more about just the, I'm a vicarious, violent, vehemented, check out my vibranium and the vagina. It's just like, hey, bro, come on, I got you, bro. It's like you use a lot of words, my nigga. I got you.
You, sir, have obviously never watched William Shatner's spoken word performances.
Were you just upset?
Yes, I have, and I hated them too. So I'm consistent with my hate.
Were you just upset that another motherfucker in a mask was being more eloquent and using more alliteration than you do when you speak?
No, because I wasn't Hannibal when this movie came out, and when I saw this movie in 2005, it's still like that one scene is like I hate it. I do. I fucking hate that scene.
It's so funny. For me, that scene was a scene that made me go, "Oh shit, what is this? What am I watching?"
Yeah,
that was the scene that pulled me in.
A lot of people, and every time I tell people that I hate that scene, they always be like, "I love that scene. That was what drew me in." I was like, "That was like shit. It's like the opposite of Michael Jackson, Daddy. That's what made me pull out."
I think Ace wanted to have something to say. I'm sorry.
I was gonna tell you, like, I seen the scene you were talking about, and I don't think it rubbed me the wrong way, but it definitely wasn't one that I stuck around. Like my favorite scene, however, was when he killed. I don't know if she was a chancellor. It was the female secretary of state or whatever. He went into her bedroom and went to kill her, and she's just like, "We watched this scene together." Yeah. As a matter of fact. Yeah. And the lady's like, "So are you gonna kill me now?" And he's like, "Yeah, I killed you 10 minutes ago while you were sleeping."
Like,
You so hard,
dude, I forgot all about the other stuff at that point. I was like, "Oh man, that was super gangster." I almost regret that I'll probably never have to kill anybody, so I can't even use that dialogue.
All right. I mean, I got nothing else about Venom. I mean, V for Vendetta. I watched Venom though too, just for extra credit.
Okay.
Just
and wait.
You watched Venom in preparation for this show?
Yeah.
All right.
Carry on.
It was an origin movie, and I hadn't seen it yet. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna watch it. I'm with it. And so it just slipped. It just popped in there. But I got nothing else to be. It's great. It's applicable now as much as I think that it was then in certain aspects, and different aspects now than it was then. And it's there. I think that that dialogue sequence and everything, though, like that sets up the whole character.
It does. Yeah. It does.
So it's actually one of my favorite. It's actually one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, most
people that see the movie, they love that scene. It just for me, it rubs me the wrong way. I don't like that scene. I don't. I'm not saying it's a bad scene. I'm not saying I penalize the movie because of that scene. But fuck that scene.
I didn't feel like fuck that scene.
Okay, that scene is the mayonnaise on my McRib. I was like, why is mayonnaise on this sandwich? Didn't nobody ask for whipped eggs and oil on a barbecue rib? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't feel like that scene was like F that scene, but I was more like in other points in the movie, he was a lot more smooth with what he was getting across, and that one was kind of like, you get some characters where sometimes they go over the top with what their character is. I felt that a little bit, but it didn't bother me. It didn't stop the momentum of the movie for me, though.
See, Ace Wonder knows what's up. What the fuck's wrong with you, Hannibal? Like, maybe this needs to be Ace and Monty's shit show. Like, you. I mean, Team Monty's the way to go. That's all I'm saying.
There you go with that shit. All right. You know what? It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. You see how I dig into the group of friends that's been friends longer than me and Hannibal have been friends.
Yeah.
See, I just dig in right there.
But Yeah, this movie actually, like, if you look at our ratings all across the board and the shitheads rating, we're all damn near on the same page. Like A's, A minuses, B's. Like there's like one B plus in the bunch. Yeah. And
so we all agree.
And I this was my pick for movies to watch, and I picked this movie because Monty never saw it, and I was like, "You need to see this fucking movie."
And you were right.
Yes. Like, look, y'all might not agree with movies that I say are mediocre, but if I tell you a movie is fucking good, that shit is gold.
And look, I rarely co-sign on this, but listen to Hannibal in this case.
Hey, that movie is dope, and I'm gonna throw the compliment right back. I Kill Giants. It's fucking amazing. I wish I had read that comic.
Oh, I got a copy. Take it back to Atlanta.
Fantastic. I will read it eventually.
Now, if we can just get Monty to watch Fight Club.
Nope. Listen. One fight at a time, Ben Collinsworth.
Yeah. Never gonna happen. And if y'all shitheads want to see that, want to hear the story, I will make it a stream goal for one of the torture episodes for me to get on, and we will talk about Fight Club, and I will tell that story.
Whoa, wait a minute. You know you're going to get kicked off YouTube for talking about Fight Club, right?
See? And what I'll do is, if you remember Remy D from our Nickelback episode, she's part of the reason I will never watch Fight Club again. Or I will never watch Fight Club because I've never seen it. And we'll have her on as a guest for that show. So...
Yeah, and just for somebody who's close friends with Monty, and understand, for me, Fight Club is one of my 10 favorite movies of all time. This is how high the movie is on my list. It's number 2. Like, Pulp Fiction is 1, Fight Club is 2. So I really want Monty to see this movie. And understand, I know why he hasn't seen this movie. And as much as I want him to see this movie because it's one of my favorite movies of all time, he's one of my closest friends, at the same time, I understand why he hasn't seen it. And I agree why he doesn't watch it.
And I'm going to say it right now. When we do the May Torture episode, and it'll be, normally we do stream goals that last a month. There will be one stream goal set during a torture episode about whether we will do a Fight Club episode.
Oh, shit.
If y'all hit it during that torture episode, then we'll do an episode where we explain Fight Club. And then that goal, once it's hit, I'll even go to Atlanta, and me and Hannibal will watch Fight Club. I'll record it and cut it up, and y'all will see it, and then we'll do an episode about it. I'll go right there with it.
Also, Emily the Neighbor just suggested we do a Quentin Tarantino episode, which I would fucking love to do.
That's awesome. But, huh?
So can I get in on that? Of course.
Yeah, and I'm going to say it before the graphic changes, we're moving on to July 6th, 2018, Ant-Man. What's everybody's grades on that?
Wait, Ant-Man came, no, it's Captain America.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to rearrange it. It was July 19th, 2011. Captain America. The first Avenger.
And before we give our grades on Captain America, can I ask y'all a quick question about V for Vendetta before we get too far away from it?
Yes.
Did the guy that played V, is that Agent Smith from The Matrix?
Yes.
Okay.
And Red Skull.
Right.
First Division.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I learned that watching the movie.
Yeah.
And it actually added to the movie for me.
And he played many transsexual characters in what's that Bukowski movie with Tom Hanks? God damn it. Not Jupiter Rising.
Oh,
Cloud Atlas.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. Sorry.
Dogs.
There you go.
All right. Derailed us a little bit, but Captain America: The First Avenger, I gave that movie a B minus.
Ooh, okay. Hold on. Wait, let me write it down.
For everybody watching the show, if you've seen Captain America: The First Avenger, throw your grades in the chat. I want to see what you guys thought about it. Ben Collinsworth, what say you, sir?
Cap, I actually give first Cap an A.
Ooh, okay. We're gonna come back and talk about that.
There's some reasons, and again, there's reasons why about execution and style and choices that are there that I don't think necessarily always get talked about that movie.
All right, I'm I'm actually on the same page as Ben Collinsworth here. I gave it an A. So First Avengers gets an A for me.
I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I gave it a B, a solid B.
All right.
Wait, hold on, no, wait. I'm sorry, I gave it a B plus. B plus.
All right. Those are all fair grades for that.
Yeah, I gave First Avenger a B plus. I actually thought it was a very good movie. And I'll get into my why in a second. Let's go around the room real fast. Who's going first? Ben Collinsworth or Ace Wonder?
First, mine is short and sweet on this one. Like, I seen it, I enjoyed it, but again, like Superman, I typically don't watch just Captain America the first. So I watched that, and then of course right after that, I went back and I watched Winter Soldier, because I kind of fall on the Winter Soldier side of everything, because that's just political intrigue is just kind of my thing.
Yeah,
So and the second one, in Winter Soldier, had more of that, and the first one was more World War II set, whatnot, and that kind of slowed me down a little bit on the movie. And I just had, when I was making my grade, I had a hard time putting the first Avenger like at an A, and then also putting Winter Soldier at an A, because I felt like Winter Soldier was so much better than the first one.
So Captain America First Avenger is the first time that you start to see Marvel move into the committed genre concept that they do. They do really well, and it gets underplayed a lot. Now, you will hear Kevin Feige talk about it. You'll hear people who are like working on it talk about it. But like Captain America: First Avenger is an old school style World War II American movie.
Yep.
It has done that intentionally and really like the refined version of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about the old ones that used to come out from the era that were like this. I mean, like, they used to make movies that were like, this is a dude who's like Captain America, but just in the middle of World War II, and we don't hear about him anymore because they're just the old movies that are like whatever. But that's exactly how they used to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Was in this style like this with the montage pieces.
Yeah.
Usually with at least one song and dance number. And also in this song and dance number for Captain America: Winter Soldier, that is an Oscar snubbed movie. Because in the year that it came out, only 3 movies were nominated for Best Song. And you can't tell me that an original song like that put into a superhero movie as Star Spangled Man is not at least worthy of a nomination when you can't even fill up the category that year.
And I actually agree with Ben Collinsworth wholeheartedly. The song and dance routine in that movie did not bother me at all. I actually think it played very well into the film itself. And I think the reason it didn't get nominated was because Hollywood was, I don't want to say anti. They were anti-comic book movies. They felt like at that time specifically, comic book films weren't real films. It's just like, oh, it's guys dressing up as costumes, real kid friendly, blah blah. And I'm like, no, man, these are good fucking movies. You know what I'm saying? Because I felt like for the longest time, Logan is one of the big snubs in comic books. Like, Logan should have been nominated for Best Picture. Hugh Jackman should have got nominated for Best Actor. I don't mean he should have won that year, but he definitely should have got the nod.
So you think it's one of those things where like your highbrow filmmakers are looking at these comic book movies that are out earning them?
Yeah,
and
but this is the other thing though too, though, because then I also like where I while I see what you're talking about with that, and I know at the same time that was before Marvel was with Disney, and so they were still with Paramount and stuff like that. The issue with that, the song though, is that I'm like, this is post Hustle and Flow winning. So we can't go ahead and say that there's some sort of like grand high position through which songs are now, through which an Oscar song should be placed, that is making it unworthy of being nominated. I'm like, y'all already gave one for, it's hard in here for him.
Yeah.
I mean, so what? We can't give Star Spangled Man could get the nod at least?
Please.
I keep wanting to challenge Ben Collinsworth, but I don't want to go back to Superman, because I hear a lot of your praise for Captain America, and while I agree, I could give the same praise to Superman, but that's a totally different show, different episode. We might have to duke it out with Superman, Captain America. Like, I gave it the same grade as you, like, except I gave Superman a lower grade than this. This is a better movie than Superman. But, like, I hear a lot of the things you're praising in this being similar to what you counted out in Superman. Like, I'm comparing lists. Like, I'm just...
Which I'm curious only because I'm not really sure. I'm not seeing that myself. So I'm just wondering where what specifically that's giving you that idea.
Like let's a lot of the suspension of disbelief, musical numbers, all that stuff. Like this stuff that, and this might be coming from a pattern of knowing you personally and talking to you about all this stuff. So maybe it's stuff that might not have all come out here, but I see this hammer at movies with 2 specific letters in them. and I feel it's affecting the grade, and I worry about that as an objective grade.
Well, that's not true. But like this thing is, I would tell you that like instantly, I would tell you like The Dark Knight is an A+ movie.
All right,
I would tell you that like
all right,
I'll tell you that.
Batman episode.
I'll tell you. I can tell you. I can instantly tell you what's wrong with as of Justice and Dark Knight Rises, and then also how Batman Begins leads into the other. The thing is that I'm sorry that DC has grossly mismanaged their properties since the beginning of them having fucking properties.
I think there are some of the good DC movies. Like I want to get you on some of these shows when we're talking about some of these DC movies because I want to have some of these conversations here. And I'm not meeting you there. Like let's discuss. And the only reason I don't discuss when we're talking on the phone, unfortunately, is it affects my friendships and personal relationships with people. I'm just going to withhold my opinion here. Because let's talk about it on the show. This will be fun.
I mean, I if I'm gonna lose friendships, let's go ahead and do it on the show.
I always get.
Look, if I'm gonna lose friendships
over bullshit like this, then we were never friends.
So I may as well get some views on it.
But I want,
if there's an entertaining part of a conversation in my friendships. Let's put it on my show.
There's other reasons that I also, give Cap and Marvel specifically the other credence that's in there. I mean, like for one, more things happen in the background of a Marvel movie than do in the forefront of any DC movie that's been made in the modern era.
True.
I mean, more things literally happen in the background of Iron Man 3. Than DC has put in the forefront of a single film.
To co-sign Monty's point now, it does feel like you're judging DC movies harder because you feel like they're mismanaging the talent that they have. It's like you have Drew Brees, but you're sitting him on the bench. So fuck your team. Even though the team still, well, not all their teams, the teams are still making it deep in the playoffs every time.
I mean, I don't see that though. I don't see that.
Wait, that you do that, or you don't see it as that?
No, I don't see it that they do it that way. I don't see that I don't see DC as a successful operation. Now, whether they make money, that's different than being successful in the way that I'm defining it.
Yeah.
But
I don't classify money as
right. So and the reason that it's like, unfortunately, DC, it's like, yeah, Marvel has eaten your lunch in the game in the film genre world, with the exception of that Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all are getting whooped. I mean, it's bad getting whooped as far as the points are concerned, the consistency, the hype, and worldwide. You just look at the numbers. So I'm not trying to put it that way, but I'm also they are the two. There are only two.
Yeah.
They will always be compared against Marvel.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like, I'm sorry that it's like, I mean, look, y'all went and even, as I digress about DC, they went and even got Joss Whedon, and he couldn't save their bullshit.
Yeah, but did he? I don't think he even finished that movie though, right?
They
Justice League.
They bugged him
He
to
didn't.
death.
He didn't even finish.
Yeah,
doing
no.
it.
Yeah, he did.
But-
he came in and finished because Zack Snyder dropped out of finishing on it because of his daughter's death. And they still
That
turned
was
it
the
out right.
issue with Justice League. I knew there was some issue with Justice League. It was he came in and cleaned up somebody's script, so they didn't technically get Joss Whedon.
Yeah, like I'd like to see what would happen with.
Studio before.
Yeah, I mean,
no,
and that actually is me. This is actually gonna be me supporting, like what you just said is me supporting Ben Collinsworth's statement, because Warner Brothers. I don't know if the blame is more on Warner Brothers or more on DC, but they are not doing justice with the franchise they own. Like the fact that their animated division is getting it so right, and their film division is getting it so wrong. And it's so weird because Marvel is just the opposite. Their film division is knocking it out the park, and their animated films are trash. Well, forgettable. They ain't gonna say trash.
I wonder how much input they're putting into those animated films.
Well, actually, I mean, a lot of the animated films are. A lot of Marvel's animated slate is actually geared towards television and not necessarily geared towards films in the way that DC does do their stuff.
Okay.
However, I will say that the Marvel Rising cartoon on Disney XD, that's actually the Squirrel Girl and like Miss Marvel and stuff, and like they're sort of like the one that's trying to aim towards older kids. It's like kind of the ones that are like right in between the tweenager range on it. That one's really good. But they're different goals, and that's also because the talent of the writing department at Marvel gets sent to the movie division and the live action division, and doesn't get sent to the animation department, which apparently is where DC has sent all of their good writers to just languish and not get to make good movies, or not get to make full live action.
Also,
movies.
in the DC film, in the animated film department, they basically got like one or two guys that are overseeing everything that comes out. So those. Right. So those guys are tired.
Are you getting closer to the people that created it, intended it to be, or are you getting like this watered down?
Well, there's that, but then there's also,
version.
Marvel's process on this is just better than it, from the way that they process just better. And then also it's like just as I circle back around to the Joss Whedon bit that I touch on, the reason that I do that is that Joss is also known for having been put into literally at some point working on every movie in between the first and the second Avengers.
Yeah.
And all of those movies turn out at least okay. And the worst one of that bunch is probably Thor: The Dark World, which also had the most problems out of that bunch. And that's why I'm like, y'all literally even got to call in the ringer cleanup guy that the other guys used for a whole phase, and y'all couldn't clean up your one big effort.
Yeah. And
just like every shit show moment, it all boils down to all of us agreeing and then arguing about why we agree.
Yeah. But I get what you're saying about the difference between the two, and especially because of the correlations between the Truth, Justice, the American Way angle of the two of them, and all of that. But the thing is that Cap earns his spot.
Yeah.
Cap was a man who is a heart of gold, and then figured out how to enlist. He actually goes on some semblance of a journey. I do not like divine heroism. That is what Superman is. Superman is a divine hero that also gets to perpetuate savior myths. And both of those things, they don't animate me. I'm not interested in it. Cap is a guy who comes up, then he gets the serum. That makes him a better person. Like the whole dude being like, the point is right here, as I use you for a model. But
indeed, man. My chest is very similar to Captain America.
Yeah, exactly.
No, not.
I was about to start going like I don't.
He was like, wait a minute, really?
I don't know
No,
Ace
not
that,
really.
I don't know Ace that well. Or I was gonna start just copping a feel.
It's like, no, not really.
No, really. But yeah, so that's like when we get down to that point of it, like that there's that. And as you talked about, Clark is a dumbass. Steve figured out pull the pin from the bottom of the flagpole, and I get to go ride in the Jeep.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
I think Steve Rogers took the same journey that Barry Bonds took, though. You know what I mean? A-Rod.
Well, when it's government backed, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, like, as all of these arguments have been, we basically agree, except for that one. There was one that was, somebody was way off. I don't remember what it was. Somebody was way off from everybody else. I don't remember what it was.
It was when Ben Cosworth gave Superman a D. I remember.
Oh yeah. No, but that leads right into my point. I wanna. We might need to explore this at some point. Like, why don't we do a Marvel versus DC show? And let's talk about this shit.
Or let's do a Mike Tyson fight a child episode while we're at it too. Since you like shit to be so even.
Yes.
Exactly. At that point, you're talking. I mean, you're literally Tiger versus. Let's do.
Sorry. Let's do Tiger versus Tweety Bird. I mean,
I wanna have this discussion more, but we're talking origin stories now.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to.
And as far as Cap as an origin story though goes too, he's more satisfying to me because like there's a story there, you know.
Yeah. No, I'm with
I'm about to say one thing that did kind of slow me down a little bit in this movie, and I picked it up when I first watched it, but it became more apparent as I watched Avengers 1 and then Winter Soldier, is that I felt like Cap was way too weak in the first one. And even in the first Avengers to a certain extent. And I think they realized that, and then when it got to Winter Soldier, they kind of brought him up a level because he was falling behind everybody else.
Well, I think there's also the newness of powers that is much harder to communicate in Cap's stance than it is in like other guys
because it's just straight
strength. Because I mean, basically his superpower is like the best football player ever.
Right.
I mean,
but I seen a marked difference though when they got to Winter Soldier and he started beating guys up. It was like a whole different level of skill. Or did he evolve at that point?
They changed the fight choreography too. That's one of the biggest things you notice. And this is also where we get into the genre part. Is that they changed the fight choreography from the first one to the second one. The first is these big brawler haymaker World War
old school,
yeah. You know, you see it coming from a mile away, but it's got enough of a flash behind it as far as a hit that like that's how it is. And then in the second one, that's when Cap goes into all of the like way more modern martial arts.
Yeah.
Way more
and that blew me away when I first seen it. I was like, oh man.
That's also because the martial arts that he practices now in the more modern time movies were not something that dudes trained in back then either. So again, it's another next level decision by Marvel.
That actually makes me like it better.
Of looking into it and doing something that's like
that's pretty realistic.
Work out, right? And this is why then I take points off for fingertip holding with flying.
Hey man, he drew me in with a bunch of yeses, man.
He did. It was very eloquent. I like the way you did that, Ben Collinsworth. That was good stuff. Look, man, I thought this movie was great. Like for me, the reason I gave it a B plus and not an A minus or an A, it mostly was pacing issues. Like it like there was certain points in the movie where it just felt slow. And when I talk to people about the movie, normally they'd be like, yeah, that movie bored me, but I think it's because it was an origin story, this, that. And I'm like, but beyond that, the core of what the story is, you know, like Ben said, it's a story about somebody who wants to, who like at his core is a good person and wants to be better, and then we get to see him be better. Yeah. The scenes that show, and I thought this was fantastic, and the fact that nobody else brought it up is crazy to me. The scenes with Chris Evans as the scrawny guy, you know, the way they superimposed the special effects CGI with his head on his little body and shit like that. And we literally watched like a solid third of the movie with him as that. Yeah. And it was like, yeah, that shit was fly. You know what I'm saying? And this is a really good movie because you forget that Tommy Lee Jones is in this movie. Right. And then you watch it and be like, oh shit, just like Black Panther with Forrest Whitaker. It's so good. You forget that this Academy Award winner is in this movie. this is a good movie. As a sidebar, there's also Game of Thrones characters in there. There's also Doctor Who characters in there. I don't know. Did you catch Clara from Doctor Who?
Where was she?
Yeah, I'll show you after the show.
She's one of the dates at the expo, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's Marjorie Tyrell and what's his fucking name? Walder Frey from Game of Thrones. Some Harry Potter characters, some Doctor Who characters. There's a lot of cool actors that are in this movie, and they have like little bit parts. You know what I'm saying? But it all helps move. Stanley Tucci. We're talking about all the fucking great actors. And like, this is a really, really good movie. Like, don't sleep on how good the movie is because of the pacing and the backdrop of the film. Hugo Weaving as Red Skull is fantastic.
Yes, he is.
And honestly, I haven't seen Hugo Weaving be bad at anything. So, this is a good fucking movie. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I think a lot of people, don't give it the credit it deserves because there are some bigger movies, there are some flashier movies, but I feel, especially as far as origin movies go and as Marvel movies go, this is a really, really good fucking movie.
Yeah. To your pacing point about that it is a thing, but I think the pacing point is a valid thing that I've actually also always felt with that.
Uh-huh.
But as I've thought about it more, I think it's a byproduct of the genre choice.
Okay.
Because those old war movies had weird pacing like that because there was stuff that they would kind of like skip over here and there, or especially because like, a guy would, they skipped the 6 months where you were sitting around on base doing nothing or something,
right.
So sometimes those pacing on those things are weird, and Cap does it too, where it's like we find out about all of those Hydra bases, and then we take them out in a montage.
Yes. Yeah, and that was
one of those things that I was like the scenes that they show you is like, okay, so we're gonna watch the fights over here, but then you gonna montage this. This is the shit I need to see. This is the ass whooping I need to be watching. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of them things I thought was a little bit. And there's a couple other little pins like continuity issue, not continuity issue, but like there's certain things that happen in the movie that's like, no, this definitely didn't happen. Like I have to suspend my disbelief in reality in certain things in order for it to be, to enjoy the movie. But then there's certain things that just happen like, nah, this was like y'all just hung a bow on this one. It's like, all right, let's keep this moving. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen a little bit in this movie. That's why I gave it a B+ and not an A. But I mean an A-. But this is I cannot stress it enough. First Avenger is a really, really, really good movie. It is a really good movie.
I love that movie. I go as far as to say it's a great movie. That being said, let's keep this shit moving and let's go forward to July 6th, 2018, and let's talk about Ant-Man. Let's go around the room.
Ant-Man was 2018?
Yeah. Yes.
The first one?
Yes.
Was it?
When did Ant-Man and the Wasp
Oh,
come out?
no. Did I get it wrong?
Must have been 2016.
Yeah, it had to be 2016. All right, I wrote it wrong. Thank you all for calling me on my shit. I got it right.
Like that's last year.
But I got that shit right. It was Tales to Astonish. That's where he first appeared.
I think I may have rated this movie already.
Yeah. Let's go around. I'll take y'all first.
Well, I gave this one a B-.
All right.
Ant-Man. I enjoyed it, but it didn't do anything extra for me at all.
Yeah.
I too have a B-.
All right.
I went with a B, just a solid B.
And I also went a solid B. I thought this was a really good movie.
Yeah.
Like there's no minus for me. This movie's fine. I mean it's a good movie.
Yeah. This was a solid B for me. So,
but let's get in. Let's haggle about the minutia. Like
because that's what we do on the shit.
That's what we're about to do. So this side of the room gave it B's. That side of the room gave it B minuses. So tell us why the movie got the minuses for y'all. What were the reasons that it got the minus?
There you go.
And everybody in the chat, so
check. If y'all saw Ant-Man, go ahead and throw your grades in it so I can add it to the list.
I find myself I enjoyed it, but I didn't find myself blown away by anything. It all felt solid. You know, as you're going through it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is cool. I'm going through. I like it. But again, it was nothing that I wanted to get into anymore after that. I didn't really ask any questions after the movie, anything. I enjoyed it. It was a solid experience. And I literally walked away and never looked at it again until we watched it for this. You know, I think I actually enjoyed Ant-Man and the Wasp a little bit more. But like I said, and this is just totally just personal, go and view it. This is kind of where I was at with it. I don't really have a professional opinion on this one.
Of the two Ant-Man movies, I think I actually prefer this one than to the second one, mostly because I actually found that Michael Pena comedy in the first one was better than some of the other comedies they decided to make for the second one.
I got you.
I'm not necessarily. I tend to think that some of that might be the Adam McKay rewrite for the first one that doesn't exist as a pass at all for the second one. Though I'm not sure because I don't know the difference in between the passes on the script and of course the Edgar Wright thing and everything else. But it's I kind of feel the same way. It's like there's some good stuff. I enjoy it. I like it, but it's not. It's also one of the most disposable of the movies in the Marvel universe to look at. There's nothing that is in that movie that the second one also doesn't really do the lifting and carrying for, as far as Ant-Man is concerned. And well, and again, it's funny, it's like it, but I'm like, you know, there's no Infinity Stone usage. There's nothing. There's no Sokovia implications. This is actually one of the movies where the least amount of things happen in this movie,
as it relates to the rest.
As it relates to the rest of the verse, right. And these are all not necessarily things that I take against it, but I'm just like, this is what keeps it from getting to be an A, and why so many Marvel movies score so high is because they get extra points those little things.
All right.
And you credits due though. I going into that movie when I first time I seen it and I realized that he was in it, I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. And
then he was really good.
Michael Pena is a guy who's a lot better than people give him credit for.
Like, I'm honestly, all that whole crew, when I first seen T.I. too, I was like, oh, geez, here we go. And then I actually, I didn't mind them. You know, they were okay.
That movie for me was the moment T.I. became a Marvel hero. Like, that still warms my heart. And I can't argue with any of your points on the minus. I don't know if you got anything.
Yeah, I definitely do. I definitely do. And first off, let me say I don't disagree with anything you guys said. I am not.
But you should. Beef Wellington sent us a Streamlabs an hour ago.
Yes, Beef Wellington.
Read that shit.
Beef Wellington sent us a Streamlabs an hour ago. It says, people watching the show, get your lazy asses. Get off your lazy asses and open your dusty wallets and donate to these kings of charisma.
Thank you, Beef Wellington.
He is not wrong.
Sorry that it took me an hour to get to that.
He is not wrong. We are fucking charismatic AF. Yes. So, I don't disagree with you guys with how you guys rated the movie. I hear everything you say and accept it for what you say. How the point of contention that I'm going to bring up about your grades, and this isn't me disagreeing with y'all grades so much as me disagreeing with everybody's grades about Ant-Man.
All right.
And this could be a one seat in Hannibal, but at some point in the future. The problem here is we don't rank Ant-Man. And when I say we, let me rephrase that. When most people, I'm not going against you guys because I think you guys have valid reasons why it falls where it falls and why you guys gave it B-. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to haggle over percentage points. You know what I'm saying? But what I notice whenever I talk to people about the Marvel films, I am very confident that there are no C's in this universe. If I go through all 20 some odd movies, there are no C's. Ben Collinsworth has one. Is it Dark World? No. Oh, you know? Okay. So look, I think Disney Marvel Marvel has done a fantastic job from beginning to end with these films, including Iron Man 3, including, like, I think the worst movie you get up the bunch is a B-. I honestly, truly believe that in my heart. And I mean, then there's going to be some people that feel like, you know, oh, well, this movie gets C+, C-. Some people might even go as low as D's, and they are wrong. You know, just like your opinions are wrong and you need to do better.
There are no D's.
No, not at all. But this is the problem I run into. The Marvel Universe movies are so good that the ones that aren't as good are getting compared to the ones that are great. So we're not comparing these movies how they compare to other movies in the rest of the universe and the rest of the world. We're comparing them to other Marvel movies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So the same people that would be like Ant-Man is a C- would give Venom a B+. And that's wrong. That, like, one of those movies is better than the other. And that's a fact. It's like it's one of those things. Like, I think what happens is, and I noticed this when Iron Fist came out on Netflix. Everybody was saying it was trash. It wasn't trash. It wasn't as good as Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage. It was still way better than a lot of other shows. Like, if you watch Iron Fist next to the latest season of The Flash, those shows are comparable. Iron Fist is the better fucking show. But because the Netflix Marvel bar was so high, we're comparing Iron Fist to those other. It's because it's not as good as the first season of Daredevil, or because it's not as awesome as the first season of Luke Cage.
And
then that means
end up talking about how Iron Fist sucks when it doesn't suck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then one of the things that's a huge pet peeve of mine of today's culture is everything is either a classic or it's trash, and there's never any space in the middle. Yep. You know, the word average, the word mediocre exists for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like there's a lot of times where things are getting unfairly qualified and compared when they don't. And this is the same argument I made when we talked about Eminem.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of people that felt like Eminem, well, not a lot of people. There were some idiots.
There were loud people.
There were some loud idiots that thought Eminem lost the battle to Machine Gun Kelly, not because Killshot was better, not because Rap Devil was better than Killshot, but because Killshot was not as good as previous Eminem songs. We're comparing his greatness to his previous greatness. And I know this is something that Ace Wonder can talk about very confidently. This is like people who like to say Michael Jordan's last couple years in the league were terrible because he wasn't scoring 40 points a game, even though he was still averaging 26 points and like 6 assists and like 8 rebounds. You know what I'm saying? Those are MVP numbers by today's standards. You know what I'm saying? So it becomes this weird thing, and I hate that for the Ant-Man movie because it's the movie, it's the movie franchise of all of them, of all the Marvel movies that gets shat on most because it's not as great as the great Is it the best? And I'm gonna say this real fast and give it to you, Ben Collinsworth. Is it the best Marvel movie? No, it's not. It's not the best Marvel movie, but is it a good hero movie? Yes. Is it funny? Absolutely. Does it do a job of making you care about these characters and moving the story along? Yes. And if you compare it to a lot of other, this movie is good. This is a good movie. Yeah. And I just hate watching people be like, oh, it's a C- because Winter Soldier was better. Of course Winter Soldier was better. We're not saying this was, but the conversation wasn't is Ant-Man better than Winter Soldier? It was, what do you think about this movie? And if your only measuring stick for measuring this movie is comparing it to the other movies that live in this world, you are doing yourself a disservice. Not the movie, because the movie did its numbers. The movie did gangbusters. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like it, that's an indictment on you and your taste. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You need to do better. That's all I got to say. Go ahead, Ben Collinsworth.
I was gonna say like the beam, because when you were watching this earlier and I came in and I caught the back end piece, I was looking at the one of the big things that always bothered me the most was the Yellow Jacket suit. And in the end sequence of that, you end up putting both guys in a mask, in like deep in mask for the whole sequence. So you have these guys who are talking, and there's no facial animation between either of them because they're completely in helmet for most of the end sequence, especially like they're at the house with like in like his daughter's room and stuff. And I always felt like that was a cheap out / poor decision to allow Yellow Jacket's face, which is really more of like a dome setup rather than like the closed in like goggly thing. I would have preferred to have seen more of his performance in there, just from the standpoint of that. I always feel like for anything, you need to be able to, somebody's got to be there giving a performance in some level. And when you have two guys that are in helmets, it's a lot harder.
This is something that we've actually talked about when it comes to Mr. the Beat Animal here. And I don't, it's that, I don't know, I think you're, and a lot of people think this when looking from the inside at the product that you're inside of. Mm-hmm. It's like, and that's the perspective you're looking at Ant-Man from. Whether you realize it or not, that's the perspective you're looking at it from. Because when I see it, I try my best to separate myself from being a fan of the comic. I try to forget the comic. I forget anything about how this is made. I go in and I go, tell me a story. I don't care about what went into making it. I don't care about shots. I don't pay attention to that shit. First viewing, tell me a story. And in the beginning, set the scene and take me away. I don't think it matters how many helmets or how many faces are covered. I think if a story is good enough, you can tell a story for 2 hours straight and never see anyone's face. And a performance can go off. V is a perfect example of it. V, we never saw V. V was one of the most brilliant and beautiful performances I've seen ever. His voice acting was just yes.
This is where, but this is what I'm talking about. An indirect contrast to V.
Yeah.
V always has Natalie Portman's actual face to play off of. My specific piece about this in the end sequence is that we get two guys in helmets that are talking, and then at that point we get two guys that you don't see, and you don't see what they're talking, and you don't see, and in the process of that, I feel like because of also the way that I see that they did it, that part hurt in the movie because I don't feel like that. I didn't feel like the fight I felt like the fight at the end of the movie could have been better if we could have seen some more of the guys, at least actual performance in the emotion of the fight.
That wasn't a great last fight.
Yeah, that last fight scene was not a great last fight scene.
I wouldn't say it was great. I was amused by it though.
Right, and what I'm identifying is the thing that I think would actually fix that fight scene.
Yeah, and I don't, and that's what I'm challenging you on. I don't think that's a fix. I think, and to counter V with Natalie Portman, in that moment, we had his daughter there to react to it. That was our connection to a real person, and I still don't think that's necessary. I think people that, and I've seen this with a lot of friends of mine that I have that work films and are plugged into that part of it. There's a certain disconnect that starts happening when you're like, this is how you tell a story, this is how it works, and you're in the back of your mind, you let yourself get programmed to go, this is how it's supposed to work. When in art, there's no how it's supposed to work. There are rules, but
yeah, I again, this is where I do look at it, and I'm like, I'm not trying to say this is how it has to be.
Yeah.
But my point is that if you ever want to, if I'm looking at a scene and I'm feeling like it's a little flat and it needs more emotion in it, the first thing that I have to look at is the actors, because that's where your emotion comes from. Yeah. And in this particular case, the actors are completely covered. And I felt like that the intensity of the fight lacks from that. And to do a big contrast of it from the way other ways that they handle it within the Marvel universe, you always go inside Tony's helmet during a fight. You always go inside Tony's helmet during a fight, at least once.
Yeah.
Did they do the same thing in Black Panther?
And then
the helmet thing, or did they eventually show? Yeah, they showed it at times, right?
You know, Panther, he pops on and off a lot,
right?
Because they do the whole like nanotech thing. So instead, he does the pop on, pop off a lot.
Gotcha.
And like the hat and like just the like the
just suit without the helmet.
and then like the the pop. Just he does the pop in and out a lot. And also you see that and Iron Man does that a lot too with the pop in and out. And there are points in Ant-Man where I can tell that y'all did that because y'all were cutting a time and money corner. And when you can see that as a scene, those are the parts where I can identify that I'm like, this is how this movie got to a B-.
Yeah.
And like, because I want that movie, I want Marvel's every outing to be an A.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at how did they get to where we feel that they are.
And this is why I said all that is because I wanted to ask this question. Are you looking at this with your consumer lens or the production end lens? Because as a consumer,
I've actually wondered that about Ben Collins' work myself.
Yeah, because I think your lenses are blurring.
Because I used to have the same issue with the mongoose when we were talking about movies as well. Because it's like,
look, you are the consumer lens.
Yeah, that's all I have. Yeah.
And no, I get that, and I do make that consideration, but then when I get to the end of the line of where I'm looking at this, and I'm like, okay, I've settled on this B-. How did we get? What are the things that if I could go ahead and I had access to all of it, and I could go to the reshoot budget, what would I do that I think that would change it? So then that way I need to be able to defend the points that are getting taken off. And these are things where I will look at a movie and go through it and everything else and watch it and stuff. And instead of telling you that in a football analogy that now means that like everybody except for Monty doesn't understand what I'm saying, is that I can tell you can look at a football play and you can say the corner got beat, or I can look at a football play and say, well, the corner got beat because the safety was supposed to be there and that dude left.
Right.
And those are two different things, and that's where I start to look at it and be like, well, no, the safety was supposed to be there, not the corner. Like, and it's the same concept that I start to look at about like these things in movies and stuff like that too. So when I get all the way down to that bit, I'm like, what stuff is not working for me? And that in fight sequence, why? Because I don't see the emotion of the fighters. How do I fix that? Yeah. Let's see some faces.
All right, okay. I mean,
I don't like that movie has a couple issues, but I think that the things that are good about it work better than the things that are bad. Because like when I heard that they were making an Ant-Man movie, I was like, this is so. Ant-Man is not one of those properties that lends itself well to being a live action film, and they did it and they made it work. That plus I am a huge Edgar Wright fan, and I really like the idea of the Edgar Wright version of the movie that never, like, I know after he got taken off the movie, Paul Rudd and Adam McKay went in and rewrote a bunch of shit. And I like what they did, but I would have loved to have seen that Edgar Wright cut of I wish that script would have
gotten because I was at Comic-Con when Edgar Wright was there talking for Ant-Man when he was still doing it. I actually have seen the test footage that he shot for Ant-Man that was like the concept of how the grow process and all that, like how like the way that the action in Ant-Man is handled was what that whole piece was. And that's, I can tell you that at least from that standpoint, that's exactly the same.
Okay.
Like in that piece, it's like three dudes. It's similar to part in the movie, but it's like three dudes in the hallway, and he runs and changes sizes and jumps and like lands on a gun and runs down the gun, punches the guy. Like it's similar to the sequences in the movie, but that's the same. I've never really bought into the Edgar Wright end of that movie and that story, because I've seen the way that Marvel usually handles those things, and I ultimately end up thinking that if they pull the trigger that hard on a guy, that guy was going to make a movie that wasn't going to be what we would expect or want in the Marvel verse.
And I would agree with everything that you said. But Joss Whedon said when Edgar Wright got taken off the movie that the Edgar Wright script was the most perfect comic book script he had ever read. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know if he was saying that to gas Edgar Wright because they're friends, and that is definitely something that happens. Maybe it was because I think Joss Whedon and Marvel was starting to bump heads, and the same issues that Edgar Wright had with Disney Marvel were the same issues that Joss Whedon was starting to have with Disney Marvel. He had a vision for a movie that he wanted to make, and the vision that he had didn't line up with the idea that Marvel Disney wanted. And look, if you have an idea for your end game, no pun intended. If you have
a special guest for end game.
Yeah, look, if you have an idea for the end game of what you want to achieve, and that director or this writer or this actor isn't getting you to that place, then I understand. It's like sometimes it's just it's the right relationship at the wrong time. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes it's not a terrible thing for these studios to let a little bit of that control go. As evidenced by Logan and Deadpool. These are movies that the studio did not want to make, and they almost got strong-armed into doing them, and then it was like, oh damn, this actually worked out really well for us. You know what I'm saying? But it took somebody kind of believing and wanting to take that chance. And again, I don't know, because at the end of the day I haven't seen it. It's just like, I haven't seen it, I haven't read it. I only know what I heard from Edgar Wright and what I heard from Joss Whedon. And and then when you hear about the amount of directors and writers that end up walking away from these movies because they had a specific vision and they weren't allowed to do it, and the studio gets super involved. I get it. You know what I'm
saying? That is one of those things. And the Marvel aspect in that is the one thing that is unique and different, and it is the first time that a movie franchise has existed, and it is not dependent upon the vision of the director. And I mean that as a franchise standpoint, from the franchise standpoint of the Marvel franchise, is not dependent upon a director. Is dependent upon primarily Jon Favreau and Kevin Feige. Feige more now than even Favreau. Favreau gets a lot of early credit for setting up how this thing can work and be implemented. But Feige is the one who's really the guy that's kind of overseeing the full story throughness of how this all works, and stays at this high level.
Shout out to Jon Favreau, because he does not get enough credit for jump-starting the movement, because it was his vision, with Iron Man that really gave us this whole world that we have to live in right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Jon Favreau does not get the credit that he deserves. Okay? He is more than cowboys and aliens, all right? He fucking gave us Iron Man.
Yeah.
And Iron Man too, but Iron Man.
Yeah, and he had to go, and as the one big thing that is known out of the whole thing is, these movies start on two big names. The whole thing of how this whole thing starts is that they got the deal to make two movies, Iron Man and Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
And to do those things, they got their big talents and stuff. They had gotten Terrence Howard. They spent too much money and were ultimately unhappy with Mr. Terrence Howard's effort. And then they had gotten Ed Norton for Hulk.
Yeah.
And then the discussion became about who was going to be Tony. And Favreau had to go to fight to get Downey.
Yeah, because they didn't want it.
Because Downey was almost uninsurable. Was still almost uninsurable at this point as a production asset.
When he doing a lot of coke and beating.
Well, it was after all of his problems. And so still like, but nobody wants to take a bet. But nobody wants to take a bet on them because like there literally is like financial,
like Isaiah Thomas.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, there literally is at that point. There's financial differences in like how much your movie is going to cost if you take Downey as opposed to somebody else, and we're not even talking about Downey's salary right there. I mean, we're talking about like just the other things that are involved in making a movie. And so Favreau goes to bat for him on that and gets him to do, and like Downey, I believe, had to audition. And I mean, it's not like nobody knows who he is.
It's almost unthinkable now.
Right. And so, yeah. Favreau has earned that credit on all of them ever since. Yeah, for sure. And that's the problem that I think people run into when they run into stuff with Marvel. And it's like Patty Jenkins with Dark World or Edgar Wright. And I'm like, Patty Jenkins got her shot to go make a movie. I'm kind of glad she didn't get to make Thor. And then Edgar Wright too is I'm like, I've seen Scott Pilgrim, I've seen some other Edgar Wright stuff, and I like him. I don't necessarily know if that would have made I don't think Ant-Man's any better if he makes it.
I absolutely think it's better if he makes it. I
to bet money that I don't have and can't prove that Edgar Wright makes a better movie. And and for those of y'all who don't know, Edgar Wright is the man who gave us Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. What else did he give us? Fuck, what else did he do? God damn it, he did Baby Driver, didn't he? Yeah, he did fucking Baby Driver. And that is one of the best movies that 10 people I know have seen. Okay, it's a fucking fantastic movie. It is a great movie. Like the action scenes are great. It has great use of John Hamm, who I think had up until that point John Hamm had never played that type of character. Like, and it almost seemed unbelievable to imagine him in that scenario. You know what I'm saying? They made a star of Ed Anger Elsort. I don't know how you say his name. The guy who's the star of the movie. It made him a fucking star. You know what I'm saying? It made him like, people were like, oh shit, this guy can carry a movie by himself. It made us forget that Kevin Spacey at one point was, that movie came out right before all the Kevin Spacey allegations came out. You know what I'm saying? Like Edgar Wright is a fantastic director and writer. He got the vision for it. So I absolutely think if Edgar Wright does that movie, that ends up being a better movie. It absolutely. Now, does it fit in the Marvel pantheon as well? That's the real question.
And that's the argument that I'm making is that actually that the service to the Marvel pantheon is the bigger issue when you're making a Marvel movie, and that I do think that sometimes the Marvel directors, you're not checking creativity at the door, but you have to come in with maybe a little bit more of a creative team spirit than the traditional director rules all approach.
Yeah, like Marvel Disney is like to pull an
Disney is like the universe is like Duke University or the Patriots or the San Antonio Spurs, as opposed to University of Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? Kentucky's like, every year we're gonna just draft great players and then we'll get rid of them. And it's like, and Duke is like, no, we have a system, we have a coach, and if you come here, you got to play in this system. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Edgar Wright didn't fit in that system. Maybe Marvel Disney was just being dicks. Of that, I know we will never probably find out the actual reason, because Disney is going to own all of us before it's all said and done. And look, listen, Disney. If y'all buying niggas, I'm available. All right, okay. I'm not gonna say I work for cheap. You know what I'm saying? Just pay me a few million. I got you, man. Whatever y'all need me to do, I got you. All right, let's go on. To the last movie. Monty.
The last movie is. Let me make sure I get my dates right. I got the last one wrong. April 5th, 2019. So that was a week week ago.
Yeah.
And we are about to talk some shit about Shazam. As soon as I flip this over, let me make sure.
I am so curious to hear everybody's grades. Guys, we have made it to the end of the show, and we get to talk about the movie that is the reason that we're having this episode. So, if you're in the chat, so first off, this is the end of the show. There are spoilers coming. So, if you have not seen this movie and you do not want it to be spoiled, then you need to hit the mute button, but let it keep running so we can get the YouTube money from its streaming. All right?
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So this
not
would be
GTFO.
Yeah, this is the point of the stream where you hit mute. Now,
STFH, stay the fuck here.
There you go. Now, if you have seen the movie and you want to drop a grade in the chat, we about to talk about Shazam. You have been warned. Ben Collins were Ace One to the Influence. What say you got?
You want to go first? I'll go first. I gave the movie a C+. I actually had it ranked a little bit. I had it ranked as a C originally, but I think that my son might have given it like a B+ or an A. And I definitely kind of leaned me in a different direction because a lot of the stuff that wasn't catching me, you know, nothing keeps dudes still.
Yeah.
Sat in one spot, bro. And when Superman came out the end, we almost had to leave the theater. It's like, yo, calm down, chill. Yeah, theater full of people here, man. He was dancing and all kinds of stuff. We didn't even see his face.
I was about to say, it wasn't even Superman.
Right.
It wasn't even Superman.
For an 8-year-old, didn't matter.
Lenses.
Didn't matter.
Audience lens.
And that was something that I found myself
and I'll
doing.
tell you why.
No, wait. I want to get to the why first. I'm going to get everybody grades first. Grades.
D.
D. D.
Grades first. I'm sorry. Yeah, y'all go ahead.
That you are definitely wrong. You are definitely wrong.
Yeah, I agree. Wrong.
Monty, what you gave it?
I gave it a C. Solid C.
You gave it a C?
Yeah.
I'm actually with Ace. I also gave it a C+.
There you go.
I
was almost a C+.
I think expectations affected it a lot. When I seen the trailer for this movie, I was like, oh, this is going to be an F.
Yeah.
I thought that for sure.
I might wasn't on what you said. I
gave it a C.
I gave it a C.
And I gave it a C+. You know, and I want to go. All right, let's go ahead and go around. This Ben Collins, you first. You first, Ben Collins.
D. It's on. A D. Now the reasons for the one, when I'm seeing a movie and I'm seeing you pull gags that I have seen in another movie by the same genre, I will start marking points off hard.
Okay.
So
I know what you're talking about, and I don't disagree.
So Shazam floating there and then getting hit by the bus out of nowhere, we saw that in Iron Man 3. The various like learning superhero bit powers that they did as far as bits, some of them work, some of them we've seen before. All of them are the only thing that I think they planned in the entire movie. And this is the first time I've seen this where basically it's like Shazam, this is supposed to be him and then like the kid in this. Is this the same guy or is this supposed to be him and then like his like foster brother guy that's kind of like in the movie?
I think it's supposed to be, I don't know. This is the cover from Captain Marvel's first appearance. That is the cover.
You mean from Shazam's first appearance?
Captain Marvel. He was Captain Marvel at first.
That's right. They called him that, didn't they? Anyway, they
all the images over there, and I'm actually pointing there, but it's over there on the screen. All the images over there have been the first appearances.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. So my issue got to be with it. One of the things that I've, and this is also a thing where I do look at it more from a professional lens. But if I have two characters who look that close together as I felt like those two boys did, I need to do something to just break that up and change that.
Wait, which two boys? Who are we talking about?
Your cripple boy and then your lead Shazam boy.
Yeah, hang on. No, I'm finished.
That like to me, the two of them are too close in look to do the same.
Also, at the same time, you got all these other foster kids who I also thought all of those kids were doing a great job in the movie, and that I think that a more divvied up handing of all of that would have also worked for the ending for me better, where they all come together. Because it's like all of y'all got powers, but y'all hadn't been here for most of the damn movie.
That whole
foster family for me was one character. Like it wasn't like a bunch of individual characters. It was literally like it was like the college girl, the black girl that hugs everybody, the Asian guy that was real good with electronics, the Spanish guy. Like they all moved as one. You know what I'm saying? They would never. It was like, so I looked at them as one character the whole movie.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't see where Ben's coming from with Billy and the friend, and going along with Hannibal. He's still the friend because I can't remember his fucking name. This was my issue with the movie.
And that's, but the thing is that the reason that you can't, again, this is where I started talking to the things that happen like this. When you can't remember his name, it's because he wasn't unique enough to remember in the first place.
Yeah, well, and I agree with you there, but like the critique of them being too similar, I think you're looking through the wrong lens. Because as a viewer, I'm sure Ace's son saw two different kids. They weren't the same. They were two different kids. This kid was in crutches, and to him, probably like, what's up with this kid?
Dude also set up and watched 1977 Spider-Man with me too, and he was all in.
But it's about lenses though.
Basically, hey, dirt. It's okay. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, for the record, but I'm not saying my godson eat dirt. It's not what I'm saying. What? Yeah. You would say exactly that.
Yeah, I my biggest problem with this movie was the villain. Like I did not like the villain, and I didn't like the Seven Sins as villains. I didn't enjoy it.
That's actually my the next part that I'm saying is it.
I think
was that
I
like,
up with.
Was that
I did like the way it came together though.
Yeah.
I did like the story of how you weren't worthy and this dude felt a certain kind of way about that, and that's what fueled him to become the villain.
And the villain, I agree too, was weak. And I felt that the execution of the seven deadly sins as a thing was just, I'm like,
it's hard to tell them apart.
It's just, yeah, I was about to say, it's hard to tell them apart. It's a weak, it felt like a weak interpretation of the concept.
And real quick, the way they did Envy at the end of the movie was that was trash. That was bad writing.
Yeah.
All culminated.
Exactly, and those are also all part of the things I'm getting to, where I'm like, again, I see in the DC movie the themes of divine power and divine savior myth coming in again that I don't enjoy. Hold on, but that I don't enjoy, and so I see them again coming in. Also, the fact that, like, literally, Monty, you would have been a better casting choice for the original Wizard instead of getting the dude that played Korath and throwing him in some shit from Party City. Like that right there, just from the beginning, I'm like, oh, this is not going well.
Daimon Hansu wizard costume is awful. I was like, y'all had like $200 million to make this movie. You know what I'm saying? Like that should look good. That should look tough.
And again, and this is where
look, any shitheads still watching, please Photoshop Monty into that and then share it everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm giving 20 plunger points for the best Photoshop of it. Share it. As long as you share it, don't send it to me.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That it's like I felt like I literally watched that and I was like, I knew that I could throw you into it immediately, and that would have been better. I think you could have thrown Greater Sapien into it, and it would have been fucking perfect.
Fuck you.
Because he
don't look the same.
No, he's just older. No, he's just older looking.
All right.
I'm casting.
I love you, Greater Sapien.
I'm casting. You know, when you're casting in that, and casting is already there.
All right.
But anyway, I digress on that. And so all those things together, some poor villain choices, And I didn't think that anybody who was acting in it was terribly bad.
Yeah.
I just saw a lot of bad decisions from directorial and studio standpoints. You know,
I saw, for me, with Shazam.
Hang on. With Shazam, I saw a movie that I would watch again. Do I love it? No. But I'd watch it again. If it came on again, I'd give Shazam another shot.
Ace, what'd you think about it?
I don't necessarily think that this movie was made to live in that adult sphere that we're judging all of these other movies on. It almost plays like one of them 80s.
oh no, actually, a note I did have was the 90s called. They'd like their script back.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes, the 80s. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? It played like one of those like Masters of the Universe.
Exactly.
Movie or something like that.
Exactly.
But I remember I like B movies, so I kind of found myself at midway through. I was like, man, I think I'm enjoying it.
Right, but that's fine but again, I would be
Still a C, but
I would give it that more lenient course if it was not put into theaters. If it had been a
straight to
DC,
DVD,
if it had been a DC, if it had been like a DC streaming movie thing.
I didn't think about it. I did spend $50 to watch it.
This is what I'm saying though, is that I'm like the price point that because and this is also the thing, and this goes straight to the audience. The price point now for a theatrical release movie is high enough that we should rightfully as a consumer have a certain level of expectation. And I feel like if DC is going to serve up this movie and then also put it into the same verse as their dark ass Justice League shit, because they did that by making sure that they showed us all of those toys, the fact that kid wears a DC branded shirt from a DC universe movie through the whole movie. Like they made the conscious decision to tie it into these things that I will now judge it against. They decided that, not me.
See, I don't
know. Alex, I just went on a very surface
right, but
level.
But what I'm saying, like, you're gonna have Superman show up at the end and try to do the whole tie-in thing and the bigger universe and everything else like that. Then you invite the
judgment to be put to compare by hardcore.
By making the attempt, you must be judged for the attempt.
I think what's happening is
I got you.
Yeah, I think what's happening is we're hitting this theme that I keep going back to throughout this entire conversation. Like, are we rating these movies or what they're trying to do with these movies? What is this movie as a movie? Like, because when I watch it, and I do this with Marvel movies too, like my grades for the Marvel movies have nothing to do with the rest of the MCU. I watched Shazam. What did Shazam do? What is Shazam for someone that just walks in and sees this movie? And Marvel movies honestly lose points. If I love the Marvel movie because I love 3 other movies that it referenced, it doesn't get a high grade for it. Because that's just giving it a grade for being part of that universe. Yeah, even if that's the way it was designed, this movie has to stand on its own. Because, especially with comic movies, because Stan Lee's biggest tagline was, or his biggest quote was, every comic book is somebody's first comic book. So every movie has to be treated that way. This movie has to stand on its own, which is why I give Black Panther such high praise. Because Black Panther works without knowing anything else about the Marvel Universe. And sure, those other characters exist, but the characters it referenced were Superman and Aquaman. The world knows Superman and Aquaman outside of the DCEU. Anybody can see this movie and go, oh, Superman, Aquaman. I'm talking about surface with these. I'm not talking about this deep dive. I think we're going too deep.
No. The thing is, though, is that I'm again, as an example of a movie where I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And I did watch it for extra credit.
Yeah.
Venom.
Yeah.
Venom is a completely, utterly standalone one shot film. It's actually I didn't put a letter grade. Give me a second. I probably would actually end up calling it a B- or B. A B. It's a strong
B.
We'll give it a B.
Okay, that means that you think it's really good. B- is that you think it's almost really
B minus then.
Okay.
B minus, maybe even a C plus, but it's right around in there for me. But my
C plus is,
let's call it C plus.
C plus is almost good. B minus is almost really good.
Okay, let's call it C plus.
C plus. All right.
Yeah.
Went from shot that tree out.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, 'cause the thing is, like, I give Venom credit for several other things like that, but again, they didn't go for the reach, so they don't get judged for the reach. Shazam reached. Shazam.
Well, how did Shazam reach?
Because they bothered to go in to talk about the fact that because of the fact that you tried to put Superman on screen and couldn't afford Henry fucking Cavill to walk in for one goddamn shot.
I call foul on that.
No,
Was he gone already?
I don't.
Wait, no, listen. I want to hear what you got.
I don't.
Go.
That's not foul. That's not foul because the audience has been told this is a DCEU movie, and if you're gonna go and make the damn gag, then land the fucking gag.
But the gag didn't land because
No, it doesn't.
Work for us. Yeah,
Yeah, it
Did
works.
he give a fuck that Henry Cavill was there?
Nah, he doesn't know Henry.
Would it have made a difference if Henry Cavill was there?
If
What
he
made
sat
it-
down,
Maybe to me, but probably not to him.
If he sat down, and it wasn't the same guy that he's seen in that Superman suit.
Oh yeah, well yeah. If it was a different guy,
That's what I'm saying. If they put a different guy,
yeah, I think
there,
that would have made a difference. Yeah.
So thank you.
What they did was they still landed it. Look, if a magician
No, you don't.
If a magician
A
can
magician
stand in
can
front of
stand
you,
in front of you and
If a
convince you that this is purple. Convince you in your heart of hearts. You go, well, that's purple. Go, no, it's black. Did he fail if this is actually black and has been black all the time? Because that's what they did in that movie. They convinced his son that that was Superman, that he got so excited that he had to tell him to calm down. It worked.
it worked.
You got a hate boner for DC. Admit it.
No. Hold on. No. So here's the thing, though. You want to talk about?
I'm trying to point
But that's the
that out to
thing.
you.
No. This is the thing. This
I
is
love you, man.
But this is why I know. But this is why I do not give them credit for it.
Yeah.
Is because at the very core of the problem of all of DC movies, the fact that they are a bunch of cheap pieces of shit.
You got a hate boner for DC.
No.
Shots fired.
No. The very
Ben has a hate boner. You just admitted your hate boner for DC. It's fine.
But here's the thing, though, and I'm gonna sound like I'm defending Ben Collins' work.
No, defend. Like, let's discuss.
What was your grade for V for Vendetta?
An
That's
A.
a DC movie.
Yes, but
What's my grade for the Dark Knight?
A plus.
That's a DC.
What's my that's my thing.
okay.
This is the thing.
Hate boner
I
for
will grade
DCEU. How about that?
What's the best DCEU movie so far?
I'm about to say, what's the best one so far? Wonder Woman. That's a movie that's barely a good movie.
Oh no! Okay, now you sound like a hater. I mean, you sound like how I sounded when y'all was talking about the man. So
Yeah, hold on. Okay, hold on. Wonder
see what I did
Woman.
just now? I referenced my own bullshit and drank somebody else. I'm sorry, my bad. Go ahead, Big Collins. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Wonder Woman has a villain that doesn't even hold up to CGI look in the original release of the movie.
True.
Wonder Woman is a rehash of the Captain America First Avenger story in the war that no one gives a fuck about. Wonder Woman is the best person who's doing the best job in that movie is Chris Pine, and that should be a yellow flag for you right there. Gal Gadot doesn't look like she could punch the head off of a lettuce, much less a person. There are so many problems with that movie, just up and down the board. Like the only thing that works in that whole movie is the fish out of water humor that's written in there. Everything else in that movie doesn't work. She doesn't earn anything. Again, it is a divine bestowed savior that again I don't appeal, and DC does it a lot.
I love you, Ben Collinsworth. You are one of my very, very good friends. You have been a great help and an asset to the shit show moving forward.
About to give you a pink slip, doesn't it?
But Ben Collinsworth, I need to let you know you have a hate boner for the DCEU.
No, see, here's the thing. No, I don't. This is why. This is the reason. This is the reason why I'll tell you that I don't. Because the thing is that I want these movies to be good.
I don't think
I thought. Okay, no, I do, because I will tell you that until Marvel came and started cleaning their clock left and right, I thought The Dark Knight was a movie that would be unmatched superhero making of a movie for the rest of the time. Okay. So I do believe, and I do think that it's it. Like, I think The Dark Knight should have been nominated for Best Picture.
Right.
So no. So all of those things in there, I say that the potential for the material is there. They just fucking suck. And that's the bottom line. And it's like, and I'm sorry, and it's not just me. It's not just me that says that. It's the continued box office and inability to gain traction in a way that even sends them own selves into scrambling in a tizzy because they can't get their shit together. This is a wide known thing. This is the thing that gets written in papers about how DC can't keep their shit together.
I'm talking consumer level.
I know. No.
But wait. What grade did you give Wonder Woman? And if you don't remember,
I got the list right here.
All right. You should know all our grades. Wonder Woman.
Woman.
Looking base level.
I gave it a B+.
I think I gave it an A. Did I give it an A?
Actually, Ace, I don't have a rating for you for that. Monty, you gave it a B+. We both gave it a B+.
All right, B+. I was teetering. B+, A.
I'll take a B on it.
C. Yeah, I enjoyed Wonder Woman.
C.
That was a really good movie. And
it's just okay.
I
gave it a B.
Yeah, like
I enjoyed it
because we got to Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman is a C, and it's the best one out of the bunch.
I think honestly,
I gave it a B.
I think Wonder Woman did it better than Captain Marvel did.
No.
Yes, absolutely. I would.
Oh man!
I will stand by. I think Wonder Woman did it better. Especially like the big super feminist moment. If we're gonna talk about the moments where they go, where they're with Wonder Woman, and they're like, "That's no man's land. I'm not a man." And she goes out and proceeds to kick ass. That moment was fucking badass.
The more I counter that with Captain Marvel's final piece, where Jude Law is standing there and telling a woman how she has to be from a certain way, and she says, "Fucking no," sends him into a fucking rock. That's way better than her saying the very apparent and obvious statement in a flat way, "I am no man." We can all fucking tell that. The movie's called Wonder Woman. Do better. That's not do better.
You counter that?
Do better.
Wait, hang on. Ben Collinsworth, do you know you just did to counter that? Hannibal, Wizard of Oz is about.
I love that you keep doing this. The Wizard of Oz is a movie about this girl who kills somebody and then joins three friends to kill again.
That counter does not fucking work.
And I gotta say this, Penultimate said, "Dad, I got second place in the state finals." And then Ben Collinsworth would say, "So somewhere out there there's a father happier than me."
I was just about to try to read it.
That's why you laid him.
Cool.
Yes.
You were terrible worthy.
That is like, listen. I think we gotta give him. He's got to get like 500 points for that. That is awesome. Matter of fact, 5 for him and 5 for Vapion. Both of them get 5. They're kicking ass right now. Fucking love you guys.
That I judge these things so harshly, though, is that I know the effort that they're trying to put into it too, and they are failing.
You keep get out of that fucking list. Get out of that. Watch the movie.
Watch the movie.
Well, dude, but that's
all you have to do once you get to a certain level. I only use music because of.
I can read a comic. I'm an artist. I can pick up a comic and read it. I can read a comic
and still love it. There are a bunch of comic book Spider-Man comics that he drew that I love, but when I look at it through that lens, I fucking hate this. I hate his pencil choice there. I hate his pencil choice there. But this comic is still fucking great.
Okay. When Shazam gets
if we're just talking about separating what you like from what's good, then never mind.
We're talking about what's good. That's what this list is about.
When I get to in the opening of Shazam,
yeah,
and the car spins around and they stop in the road, and then they get hit by the other car in the middle of out of nowhere. that entire execution of the opening of that does not work at all, because at what point do the lights from the car that suddenly hits them out of nowhere does not shine through when they're coming in at a T-bone action through the whole way, the whole time. Down to the point of this movie is poorly directed and the blocking is bad.
That is a hate boner because only you noticed that.
No. You know what? I'm giving Ben Collinsworth. I got to give credit where credit is due, because I noticed that in the movie. I didn't say anything about it, and then when Shayla and I were leaving the theater, like the first thing she said was, "How the fuck did that second car even hit them?" You know what I'm saying? It would literally be like that car was just driving straight, head down, just not seeing anything, and just happened to just hit another car.
No. And on execution on top of it, the lights never come into the car until the car hits the vehicle.
Hang on. All right.
Like, it just, in that moment, it told me what type of movie I was watching, and I was like, okay, I see what audience they made this for. So this isn't for the Dark Knight audience. This is for the Ghost Rider audience.
All right, hang on.
You know what I'm saying?
But wait. In any movie where there's a surprise strike by a car, they're all completely unrealistic and ridiculous. Let's take Boss, for example, where she says, I hope he gets hit by a bus. So Bus just anytime there's a guy standing there in the middle of the road, there is no way you get randomly hit when you're just standing in the middle of the street. There is no way, because cars see people in the street when they're moving that fucking fast. Every shot where someone gets hit by a car is unbelievable. Why are y'all picking this one to be the one that's a fucking problem? That's a fucking hate boner that Ben has for the DCEU.
It's not, because I'll tell you about my theory about how a movie starts and works. You have to stick your opening and your ending of a movie for it to work. And the problem is that if you're in the opening of the movie for a shit villain that we've already agreed upon, so it's a shit setup for a shit villain. And the fact is that in the last shot of that opening, I can actually visually see where at the set piece that you had, there was better blocking available, and your head was so far up your ass you couldn't figure out how to do it. Now that's where, yes, I am looking at it in a different lens. But you want me to grade the movie, and I'm trying to figure out why the scene's bad. I just have the ability to be able to diagnose how it's bad.
Fuck that production shit, man.
This is why I fucking love this show.
Oh, man.
It's like, I'm not just here to tell you that the man got beat. I'm going to tell you how he got beat, how his technique was bad, and how the fact is that he's still dog shit because he never learned from it in the first place.
I'm just here to tell you.
That's all I got. I'm just fucking wrong, like I do with Hannibal all the time. This is.
Not all the
time. We agree. But I tell you where you're wrong when we agree. That's our friendship.
It's
delicious. Yeah, man, this shit's awesome. But it's a little bit too sweet. You're fucking wrong about that. This cake's delicious. Just leave it. No, it's too sweet. Too sweet. And
also, can the development of your palate affect that argument though? Like, chefs have different palates than. I used to say this all the time. Hannibal used to always say, you can't have a chef and then feed him a Big Mac.
Yeah.
You're not gonna like it, pretty much no matter what you do to it. I know I screwed that up, man, but
you might like them, but they're not good.
Like DC movies.
Yeah, I definitely would like to challenge you on, because there's a couple of your ratings I definitely don't agree with, and just the idea that you would say that Venom is better percentage point wise than Wonder Woman, that's wrong.
Yes.
That is a wrong statement.
Because I can right now that Tom Hardy is a better actor than Gal Gadot.
Wait. Here's the thing. You might be right in life, but in Venom, was Tom Hardy better as Eddie Brock? No, his performance in that movie as Eddie Brock was shit. That was.
You take it for what it's worth. I didn't enjoy Tom
But this is the thing. Though. Again, this is the thing. By the virtue of it being a one shot, That's his version of Eddie Brock. That doesn't have to play into some other MCU version.
No.
No.
Why does this get separated from the entire fucking universe? The entire no DC movie does. Bullshit. That's the fucking hate bar, Ben. This show's going on way too long. Let's wrap this shit up. Birdman.
I didn't set that rule. I set that shit up. They set that shit up. They put it inside the universe. Sony made Venom a separate thing.
I can't move the mouse fast enough. That would have been epic.
That's funny.
I didn't make it into a joint universe thing. They get to decide that rule. I only judge after they decide.
No, you were.
No. Sony made Venom. The same thing as Logan. Logan is a one-shot of the X-Men movie. It is considered a one-shot by the studio and by everybody else involved. It's a great movie, and I still love everything else, but it doesn't play into the other stuff.
I'm just like, look, man.
Just gotta pray to the shit god. So God can save me.
Like, the idea that Wonder Woman, that the mask is better than Wonder Woman is just like,
Oh, that is also definitely
like,
true.
You know, fucking, yeah, man, you definitely, okay. So I think there's definitely some points for us to talk about, because I see a pattern here, not the pattern that Monty sees, though. Not the pattern that Monty sees.
Yeah, I think we're seeing different patterns.
Yeah, not a pattern that Monty sees. But
I mean, the idea that I automatically hate something with DC
matter of fact, I know that to not be true. I know that to not be true.
I believe that with the DC EU. Prove me wrong.
I want it. I want
it for another show.
I just
talk to you about it on the phone. We're gonna continue this conversation.
Let me do this real fast about Shazam. Shazam for me was a mediocre to bad movie that had a good movie inside of it. You know what I'm saying? There are scenes like the superhero training montage. I've seen that before, but I think the stuff that they did that worked, it landed. I think the little black girl, that's the hugger, she was fucking adorable. And there were these little splashes all through the movie where it was like, matter of fact, the scene in particular where, you know, they're in the convenience store, and the place is getting robbed, and he realizes, oh shit, I'm bulletproof, and he beats people up, and he takes the beer, and then he gets the beer, and then drinks a sip of it, and then they spit it out, and then they show him coming right back out with just kid snack. That was the execution and the timing of it, and that movie is littered with those scenes. There are good scenes in this movie, and it's like the pieces were there for it to be good. It was just, and then it was like some shit all around it. You know what I'm saying?
And that's and again, this is where I get into. You want to talk about like things and stuff that happen with these movies, and this is an establishment across the business about how movies at this level are done. This is not just a Star Wars. This is not just a DC comment. This is not just a Marvel comment. This is about a movie of this caliber. Things are done in a way that you're supposed to look at and be able to fix those things. They give you the money and the time to try to fix those things. And whether or not DC's doing it, I don't know. But when you get to the point, like how Hannibal describes how he feels about it is exactly how I felt about that movie. And yeah, I judge them a little bit harder now because they should be able to fix it. Because other movies, I know for a fact, were in similar positions and were able to fix it.
All right. See,
or lack thereof. Because here's another thing. You want to talk about there's other movies that absolutely, like the last Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a hard F.
Yeah, again, I don't think that movie is a hard F, and I know a lot of people that hate that movie, and I'm not one of them. I think that movie gives, and we'll do that episode because, and again, I've only seen it the one time in theaters, so I definitely want to see it again before
Dude, start paying attention to what the characters actually look like when you watch that movie the second time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because they don't match.
Well, that being said, we gotta save this. Let's put a pen in this conversation because the show has still gone long, even though we did no seconds. So
no, let's just keep going. I'm good. I got another 3 hours. Let's go.
No, there's
what are we gonna watch? What's next?
See complaints in the chat, like there's some in and outs, and
not even talking into a fucking mic, but we'll go around. I'm sure y'all heard me echo because it's been an echo the whole time. We'll go around and start with the guests. So we'll go to this side of the room. Whoever wants to go first, go first.
I can go first because I can make it easy. You know, just remember I'm Ace Wonder, 1/3 of Earth's Mightiest production trio, Team MFN, and you can find me in all the places you find Hannibal.
There you go. Ben Collinsworth, a lead producer for the Creole Alliance, and also you can find me at the Big Ben 76 wherever you're looking for a tag to type into a box, and pretty much that almost everywhere. And then the Creole Alliance is at Creole Alliance.
You, me? Which one of us should go first? How you want to close this shit out?
Look, listen. I ain't got no more talking. I'm talking. I still got to finish up. So I got to wrap up some of these conversations. But I'm also prairie dogging over here, so I'm ready to wrap up this shit.
Yes. So I thank all you shitheads for tuning in.
Stop saying shit.
It's been awesome. And yeah, so check us out later. And also, I got some awesome things coming up with me and our lovely producer Zoe. And there may or may not be a YouTube channel floating around. Check it out. I'm not going to advertise it till enough activity happens. But if you internet sleuths are smart enough to find it, plunger points. So
and make sure you go ahead and share this stream. Go ahead and consensually press that like button. And I think that's about it, Monty.
Yes, that's all I got to say. Let's see what Birdman has to say for us. Here we go.
This was a shit show.
Y'all finished or y'all done? I ain't got no more talking.
Oh, hang on. I'm fucking up. See that? Y'all get to see behind the scenes.
Any minute now.
That transitioned, and then there's that one. Oh, and that's wrong. But you know what? Y'all get the old graphic. Here you go.